All right, so we're live, and apparently it's just me and Anthony gonna.
The Lance and Ant Show. It's
Yes.
kind of complicated. If you work hard, you can overcomplicate it. Repetition, 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 repetition. What's up, buddy?
Not much. You?
Uh, same old, same old. Well, the same old from the past few weeks, but yeah.
And and the place is coming around.
Yeah.
You're
Slowly.
swinging bachelor digs.
Oh yeah, swinging. The stripper pole goes in next week. It's gonna put it right over there in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had so I had an annoying thing happen the other day, where I know I've complained about this again, but what is it about picking or dropping off your kids where if you're in a hurry, like nobody else is at school? It's like I've never dealt with people, and then of course it's never somebody who has like, oh, I'm driving this like small little, like you like a RAV4 even. It's always somebody who's got the freaking Yukon that takes up three space, just takes up the entire lane. And of course they've got like three kids, and the kid wants to ask them a question as they're getting out. And it's just like it's just like a piece of vehicular cholesterol that and it gums up like the entire process. It's like you pull in, it's a circle, you pull in, you if there's a spot, you pull in. If not, my daughter is trained. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to pull into a spot, so that means you got to be hustling. So get your stuff together right now. Just like and then get ready, and then jump out. I love you. I'll see you after school. Goodbye. And it's like a 20-second exchange. But everybody else is like, oh no, what do you think? Are you gonna have lunch today, Bobby? Are you gonna? Okay, are you gonna? Okay, well, let me know, and then after, and like in the meantime,
It's
car after car after car after car after car behind this person.
that shit needs to stop like after like the first 2 weeks of school. It's the same with like the getting kids on the bus. Like you do not need to talk to the bus driver every freaking day.
Hey, Mr. Bus Driver, how's it going?
And like they're out there with their cup of coffee. Oh, hey, how's it going?
What's new?
Like, get your kid on the bus. You do this every single freaking day. You see the bus. I understand it's cold out and the kids are sitting inside the car at the bus stop, whatever. But you can see the bus coming. You have the kids at the door. You open the door, go get in the bus, and the bus pulls away. Oh, Jimmy had a bowel movement last night. It was so good. Ah!
Oh, and then the other thing is that I've almost like finished. I mean, I rarely ever send anything by mail anymore. And if I do, I just pay the postage, and then I just print it off at home. But like every once in a while, like I'm like, oh, I don't know, I have to send something like Canada or something. So it's like I got to fill out one of those stupid forms or whatever. And so I'm like, all right, trying to do this, that, and the other thing, and it's just like, why is it so like the Tuesday? So of course I'm an idiot, because for some reason I on Monday, the holiday, I looked and it was like, oh, it's like, oh, there's no mail today. But then I see my mail carrier driver person like pulls through my cul-de-sac, and I didn't see if they dropped me off any mail. I just saw them pull through, and I was like, oh, I guess there is mail today. And I had my boy with me, and I was like, hey, we're gonna go run some errands. Jump in the car. I drive to the post office, and they're freaking closed. And I was like, what? What the heck? But you were just out there like delivering something, or you stole the delivery van or something. I don't know. Maybe they had a special delivery or something, and I don't know, whatever. So I go back on. Then my big plan was, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to take both my kids to school, and then I'm going to have the packages that I have to send, and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to drive right over to the post office, and I'm going to go in there. And of course, I get there, and like I realize everybody in God's green earth that was going to go to the post office on Monday had the exact same plan I had, where I'm going to go to the post office first thing in the morning. So there's like a line of people. I can see them in the windows. I was like, screw this. I'm not going to go. So I was like, oh, fine, I'll go later in the afternoon, think it'll be better. So I go like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, thinking it's going to be better. And it's still like not a huge line, but there's like, 4 or 5 people. And it's annoying. It's like, I mean, and I'm quick when I'm in there. It's like, here, I need this. Here, take these 2 things. I already have the postage on it, but I need you to weigh this. I had to fill out this customs form. It's going to Canada. There, let's do this. Let's go. And then, and I was sitting there and I was like, but the 2 people in front of me like knew the person, like, and of course they're older people, but they knew the person that was helping them at the post office, and they were having a chit chat about like, about the weather and this, that, and the other thing. And of course, they're in like some weird union or something like that. So they have no, they don't have care about how fast or how slow the process goes. And I, once again, just bits of human cholesterol backing up behind me, one by one by one, after these 2 old people have sent their like one postcard to their grandson, and now we're trying to decide between which like stamps they want to buy. I always love that too. I need to buy just a like some like 20 stamps. They sell those little they sell the sheet. I was like, I need a sheet of stamps. The forever stamps. You buy them and they're always good. And I was like, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, what if and they're always like, well, what kind of stamps do you want? I don't care. Just give me some. Well, we got dogs, and we got sharks, and we got these flags, and yeah, fine, whatever. Just hand me one. They all cost the same, right? Let's just go. There's people behind me. I don't want to waste their day. Just hate the post office. I detest it.
Post office and old people do not mix.
But they're the only ones in there.
No. Here's the problem. So maybe it's a East Coast thing or whatever. I don't know. So like I go to the post office semi-regularly. I don't think I've actually been in the actual post office area though in like years. I use the machine that a book of stamps spits out of it.
Yep.
I use the scale and print your own postage in the lobby. I drop things in the slot outside of the main thing because that's open 24 hours. But like, even my mother, I can't get my mother to just go and buy stamps from the freaking machine. She has to get on the line and wait to go buy stamps.
I don't know what that is. I don't get it. I am officially over winter now. We're getting like, we got inches of snow today, and this Friday we're going to get another like 6 to 8. We haven't had a winter like this up here in a long time. As far as we've been cold, but never this much snow. I am officially done, and I realize we're in the home stretch here. In a month, we'll have those 40-degree temperatures, and it'll, stuff will start melting, and stuff will be like, get going. And that's fine. But I mean, I'm done. I just, there's so much about everything going on in my life right now that I'm just done. I'm over it. I just can't. Yeah. Just done.
Yeah. Old people like buying stamps at the counter and writing checks.
Yeah.
To pay bills. Like I've tried, like, when I go visit my mother, I'm like, Mom, give me all your bills. Look, we can sign you up right here. They'll automatically just take it from your paycheck, from your bank account. Oh, no, I like writing a check. I'm like, Mom, but you don't even get the checks back anymore. She was freaked out when she didn't get checks back anymore. When my mother moved to Michigan 5 years ago, I literally helped her like get rid of stuff in the house. I found about 75 pounds worth of canceled checks
Ugh.
from back when I was a child. Like, Ma, you don't need to hold on to these. No one is going to come back. I said, hey, most of these banks don't exist anymore. But she had to hold on to cancel checks.
So I gotta say, Nick Robinson just said, "Come on, Lance, this is a winter like we had when we were kids." Yeah, fine. I'm not a kid anymore. You know, my kids love it. They have giant mountains of snow in my backyard because we have a fence, so it piles up in the corners. Except for it's great because my one dog, my wife's spry dog, climbs those mountains and then jumps over my fence. That's always great. I mean, admittedly, both of my next door neighbors have fences as well. So both times it's happened. Well, one, the place is vacant, where you need to move, by the way.
Yeah, because the snow is just making me just want to run out there.
Yeah, but there's a completely empty house. It's huge. It's right next door. It's been vacant forever. They keep lowering the price on it.
All right, I'll tell you what. How old is Caleb?
He's 7.
Okay, so how long before he can actually come and shovel my driveway for me?
Well, Rylan can do it for you right now.
For $5?
Yeah. $5 and a Rice Krispie.
Right, that's the going rate for Rylan to do stuff.
No, she how much is a house? Right now that house is I think it's listed. No, it isn't $20,000, Kabuki. That's insane.
We're actually
we're actually in a pretty nice neighborhood. It's like right next to a school, and it's like a little enclosed cul-de-sac area, so it's actually pretty nice.
Is it under 200,000?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cheap.
Yeah, and it's like 2,400 square feet, 2,500 square feet, or something like that. I don't know.
Do you know how much it takes to clean 2,400 square feet as a single man?
Well, yeah, but you can just think about what you can do. I am also, so I'm just going to go through things that are bugging me right now. I need like a week's time of nothing bugging me or nothing like taking up my time, so I can finish my basement and like I can actually get my thing set up. And I mean, I'm down to under 500 games, which is awesome for me. But now I'm having really difficulty, like getting rid of stuff. You know, so it's like.
So you want me to buy the house next door, so you can just move them into my house?
Yeah, there you go.
And you don't have to get rid of them.
No, I mean, it's just like it's just like, oh, do I get rid of Power Grid? You know, it's like I haven't played Power Grid in like 6 years, but I mean, I have like Power Grid, the base game, and I got like 4 other maps for it. You know, do I get rid of that? I mean that's like one of my favorite like bid games though. So it's like, can't make up my mind, and so it's stuff like that, or it's just like
here's the thing. It's not the fact of the getting rid of it thing. This is what you need to ask yourself. If you get rid of it and then you are buying games for some reason, are you going to go, hey, if I add Power Grid, I'll get free shipping?
Yeah. Well, silly Richard is sitting Rado's sitting in our chat stream and he's not even joining in. So
he's there.
I've been here for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm looking at the chat. Sorry, I'm not. That happens all the time. Well, hello, Richard.
I thought I was just persona non grata. I don't know what line I had crossed, but
no line. So I got okay. Here's what.
Oh wait, Nick's so excited that me and Richard are here at the same time, so I'm leaving. Bye.
Yeah, bye
bye. No, so like, yeah, I mean, I just, I got to get down to like maybe 300, between 200 and 300 games, I think, and then I think I'll be happy. I think
let's do it now.
No,
new segment on the show. Help Lance get rid of his crap.
Well, no, but
one game leaves.
No, I mean,
one game leaves.
Well, it's stuff like there's some stuff I can't get rid of. Like I can't get rid of my I mean, there's like, it's like, do I get rid of my Tide of Iron Coffin Box game. I mean, something that'll never get reprinted. But I mean, it's like kind of, it's just it's a huge hog. I'll never play it again. Yeah, I should just try to sell it to somebody.
I gave mine away.
I think you just answered your question. That's one down. 299 more to go.
Yeah. It's tough. It's down to those last few, you know. And I just it's also just there's so much like junk to go through and just throw away. Just get rid of it. I've got so much just like random like promo items and things like that. I got bags and bags of those that I just got to start digging through and get rid of. Thankfully, the school took one of my giant tubs of board game bits. I was just like, and I mentioned to the teacher, I was like, I don't know if you have any use for this, and she's like, oh, bring it. And they were like, just like they couldn't, they were so excited about it. They were just like, because it's just full of all dice and little army men and spaceships and cubes and meeples, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll use this. I was like, all right, there, it's gone. Done.
Did that make a big thud?
I didn't really hear anything. Okay. No, yeah. So it's just like that, and it's like if I could just, it's always like if I could just get, like a week's time of nothing else bothering me, maybe I could like actually just finish off where I want to do all my filming and where I want to do all my stuff. But maybe I can get it pulled off. I'll get it pulled off eventually. It's just. It's been a long time coming. I don't know, Richard. I mean, what's your collection at?
Around 350, maybe.
And do you do the thing if you keep one, you get rid of one?
I try to. That's definitely what I was doing in Malta, because at that point I was at 350 and I was having to stack games, like 5, 6 high above the shelves, going up to the ceiling, and it was just ridiculous. Moving here definitely helped because I just didn't want to have to pay more to ship them all the way across the world. And so I got pretty aggressive. I think I ended up getting rid of 150, and they were all ones I was happy to keep. Everything that was on my wall, I'm happy to keep it. I like them to love them. And so I had to do that. Some of them were pretty easy to get rid of because there were people in Malta who I knew who really wanted the game. So, okay, well, fine, you can have it. Cool. I'm glad it's going to a good home. But I did have to get pretty aggressive. And now when I got here, 2 Calyx shelves can't hold what 1 Billy shelf could have held, or what 2 Billy shelves I had. So suddenly these weren't enough for what I brought over. So I bought a 3rd Calyx shelf, and now, when it was on sale, and now I've got a bunch of empty space. So I could probably fill up to maybe 400 games before I have to empty out again. But I shouldn't do that. I should not do that. I want to fill all these empty spaces I currently have with something so that I can't fill them with games. Do you not do the 1 in, 1 out? I do agree with that in theory.
I rarely, if ever, keep anything anymore. It has to be something that really dazzles me, for me to keep. I mean, it's just or something that like this, something just massively overproduced, Mm-hmm. So it's just yeah. I mean, plus
you don't have you don't have your collection cataloged on Board Game Geek or something like that, do you?
I used to be very good about it. I think once I get down to like 250 or 300, I'll do it again. Because my wife is very big on like alphabetization and stuff like that, and wanting to like put things together in the right way, and do a good job with it. Which God bless her. And so once that's done, I mean, that would just be like. That would be like an evening of me and her, and I would just be on, you'd be on Board Game Geek and just click, add, click, add, click, add, click, add. I used to be very, very, like, this is like 5-6 years ago, but I used to be very, I would pay attention to that minutia very, very much, and I would do those things. It is neat now every once in a while on Board Game Geek, which isn't very often. Sometimes I pull up my collection and I'm like, I don't own that anymore. And so I'm like, I click on, previously owned. I was like, oh my God, I own that. Just like.
I'm looking at your collection on Board Game Geek right now. I think you can say goodbye to Eclipse if you haven't already.
Well, I mean, I think I still have it, but I mean, I just wanna. I mean, who's gonna buy that now with the second edition coming out though?
Somebody will buy it for $10.
Yeah, I bet. Well, even if I could probably just give that to a buddy of mine too, who's like a big, yeah.
Got 2 of yours done. This is easy. Let's see. All right, this is a tough one. Urban Sprawl. I know how much you love it.
I'll never get rid of that. That game is amazing.
Well, okay, then there you go. You just had an immediate gut response that took that off the list. You did not have that response when it came to Eclipse. Eclipse was, well, what am I gonna? No, Eclipse is gone. So, I'm surprised you own Seven Wonders.
It's something I can play. It's one of the best 3-player games ever.
Right.
I just had the base game. But it's a perfect 3-player game. It's, when you have 3 players and you got one person who doesn't know how to play, you can teach it in like 5 minutes. And
no way, not with all those icons. That's a pretty steep barrier to entry, I think. I mean, unless you're talking gamers, if you're talking teach it to another gamer.
Well, I'm not talking about like dragging some rando. But see,
but even with the rando, you give them the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Oh yeah,
and they'll do fairly well.
All right. But still, I mean, who would you play that with? You have it in your home on the off chance you need a 3-player game, because you already have tons of games you would play 3 players. And if you're ever going to play it with your friends, I'm sure all of your friends have it. So why be?
I'm the only person. Well, of my friends, unless I go to one guy's house, I'm the person who owns games. The only reason I own games is because the only reason they own games is because I've given my games to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's just like, like almost every time I go play D&D every 2 weeks, I bring games for like all of them. It's like, here, I've been going through my stuff, so here you can have this, or I'll specifically say, hey, Jason, you really like Warriors, you can have my Warriors, and because like he just thinks the game's amazing, and it's just like, but the other ones I was like, here's a stack of games, you guys can fight over them, just because because it's just either it's not worth it for me to try to sell them. Or, it's just like, whatever. Just they're out of my house. I ended up giving, like one of my buddies is like the hugest, the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like he just loves it. And I picked it up somewhere. I don't know, some flea market. I bet I had the Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game, which is surprisingly good. It's very Arkham Horror-esque.
That's what I've always heard. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big bad, and then you kind of just travel around the board, fighting smaller creatures, searching for clues, trying to figure out who the big bad is to go fight them.
It's a one versus all, right? One player is the bad guy, and everybody else is the good, or
I think it's actually co-op. I don't know. I never played it because it was in Shrink, and I was just like, hey, you know what? This game's actually worth a lot of money. I was like, but you're like the biggest Buffy the Vampire Slayer ever, so here you go. And he was just ecstatic. He was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Yeah. Which is,
okay.
Yay! Whatever.
Zombie State Diplomacy of the Dead.
That is a surprisingly stupidly good game. But I should probably. You know what? I know exactly who I should give that one to. Actually,
me.
Why?
Because I've always wanted to play that game.
Oh wow!
It's the problem with that game is that
it's Zombie Risk.
Well, no, it's not even Zombie Risk. It's so like you actually like build up the power of like your nation, and like you try to fight the zombies, and the zombies just slowly like eat up, and like of course like every time a zombie destroys a population level, they gain a zombie. So there's like this, but you actually go and you get like there's a technology tree, and you start, and like you can start getting like building walls and building missiles and like things, and screws, so there's all these things you can do, but I forget what it is. But there's one technology tree that's just, if you're trying to win the game by points, it's like way better than any of the other ones. So the game's broken, but it is like really stupidly like good. I might have gotten rid of it, honestly, but I mean, I can't imagine that I still own it. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, if I wanted to buy it, I'm sure somebody's got it for sale for $10, and I could. So yeah, that's an easy one.
Well, yeah. Age of Conan, weren't you kind of not that keen on it?
No, I thought Age of Conan was a really, really good game, but I don't think I own that anymore either. The one thing I really liked about Age of Conan was the fact that you could, if you felt like you weren't going to win by points, like you weren't going to pull that off, that you could try to like declare yourself king, and then like there was a test you could do, like and then if you failed, Conan killed you. But it was a last ditch attempt you could have to pull off a win if you weren't. Plus it was very asymmetrical as far as the setup, which I really appreciated. It's like there were certain nations had like a certain like ability, like they seem to be like set like some had a better starting area, some had a better long game. I liked it. Plus, I'm a Conan guy. So.
Have you played the Batman game that's like Age of Conan?
I have not. Supposedly Monolith is sending me the full schmeal, so I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that eventually shows up at my door.
No, not that one.
Which one?
No, that's like Conan, the other game. So the Age of Conan, there's a game where you play like either as like the Penguin or the Joker.
The one
Batman comes and beats you up like
that Palomori designed.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yep.
I heard that was horrible.
Isn't it like Age of Conan? You play as one of the 4.
I know what you're talking about.
Bad guy factions, and then Batman comes and beats the crap out of you like Conan did.
Yeah, it's an area control game where you're trying to send your thugs all over Gotham and and claim territory for yourself, and Batman's just kind of a random chaotic spoiler who will come in and mess people up. Or players can send Batman at each other to mess with each other, that kind of thing.
So here's the weird thing.
That's giving him more. He doesn't need more. He needs less. And I cannot imagine he needs Risk 2210 AD.
Oh, that's gone. Long since gone.
All right.
That's a good version of Risk, though. No, it is. It's like you travel around, go to the moon, do things.
Surely Castle for All Seasons is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's certainly do you actually own Year of the Dragon?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite Feld.
I love Year of the Dragon.
Yeah, no, don't get wrong. I mean, it's certainly one of the best. It's amazing. I don't know. I tend to forget you're not a simple Ameritrasher. You have depth. You have hidden depths.
Okay, so here we're gonna just take a break from like looking at my stuff here, and I'm just gonna say this. So we had a
All right, I switched back over to a video of you then.
Yeah, no.
Open your damn eyes when you talk to me.
No, so at Con of the North, I was so sick last week with the flu, which is why we didn't have the boom, and I was so worried I was gonna miss Con of the North, which is my first convention I've ever been to, and I've been to like I think it's like 11 in a row now, and I was just like, oh, I can't miss it, and so I didn't. Normally I drive up on Thursday, and then I'm there. First thing in the morning Friday, I run their open board game room. There's a few of them now, but I was the first one to have a big open board game room, and we always give away prizes, and we have some fun and tell some jokes, and we do some like little tournament play things and just some random stuff. And good crowd. The people are all awesome. And I was sitting there, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to drive up Friday. I was like, I'll drive up. I bet I'll feel better in the morning. Well, I forgot to plug my computer in. The battery's dying on me. There we go. Much better. So I drive up Friday with my daughter. My wife and my son decided not to go because they were still sick and didn't feel well. And so we drive up. And I got there late. I got there like past 6, which was fine. So I just kind of went into the room, said hi to everybody. Rylan and I played a quick game of something. I don't remember what it was. And then I just said, let's just go back to the room. And I went to that room, fell asleep for like 12 hours, got up, felt way better the next morning. And so I was able to play. So about around noon or 1, this guy I know, this guy named Brian, he's like, hey, I have a copy of Wingspan. Do you want to play it? And I was like, all right. Well, I was like my daughter likes birds and she likes art. So I was like, I was thinking maybe I'll get a copy of Wingspan and show it off. I don't know if either of you have played it yet.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
It does feature birds and art. Yes.
So I ended up playing it a few times and I just kind of explored the game. And I'm kind of I'm going to say this. It is a fine game. It's well made. It hits all the cool little engine building keystrokes very, very well. I had a couple of problems with it after I played it a few times and was able to like kind of spelunk it and try to figure it out. Also, even though I don't see myself as wanting to play it again anytime soon, it definitely would be a game that if I walk by somebody and say, hey, we're going to need another one, or do you want to play Wingspan? I'd probably sit down and play if I didn't have something to go. So I'll probably end up buying a copy because my daughter likes birds and she likes art and she really liked it. So it was one of those things where I'll buy it. And if she ever sits down and says, hey, you want to play it? I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll play this game. So, this is not anything to do with gameplay. If you're going to overproduce the whole stinking thing, just overproduce the food things, I go behind the curtain for production and manufacturing, and I know how much X and Y and Z costs, but I mean, it's unless Stonemaier Games is planning on having their own like resources later, but if you charged an extra $10 or $15 for that game and then put in wooden grubs and wheat and fish and mice or whatever, people still would have paid it. And that just irks me when like you have, oh, look at all these like super cool deluxe components, and then we're gonna give you cardboard tokens for the food. I don't know, that just bugs me. But that's not even their gameplay is just fine regardless. So every single time I either played the game or I saw the game being played, I started pulling up everybody's like I asked to look at their score sheets, and with the exception of like one or two games, like pretty much everybody just spammed eggs, like the last like 3 or 4 actions they had at the end of the game, because eggs are points, and it's just like, okay, so now I've got my thing, and my action is going to be I'm going to take the field action, which hopefully I built that up in some way, and I'm going to get like 3 or 4 eggs, and I'm going to put those on my birds and just fill up my birds, so I'm going to have all these eggs for points. And I was like, that really made me mad. I was like, okay, so this is kind of a cool little game. It's kind of like, okay, well, like, it's like, how big, does my I'm going to draw a card, and I'm going to see if my eagle gets to eat a bird, and I get to tuck this card underneath, and it's going to be worth a point. I'm going to do this action here, and I'm going to, it's like, oh, I need this little thing, and I need to make, I need to get, geez, there's no grubs available. I've got to figure out a way to, how am I going to get, I need to figure out a way to get those dice re-rolled and take some grubs. And I liked all those things. And plus I really dug the art too. I thought it was cool, but it just makes me mad that like you get to that point and then it's just like, everybody's just doing the same action. And you have all these like really well thought out planning situations. And then it just all devolves into just static point grab at the end. I don't know. That made me mad about the game.
Well, that was anecdotal, though. I mean, it's not like any of you were particular experts at the game. You should contact Jamie and say, hey, have you found this to be the true in the hundreds of playtests you did, that every game always ends up with point grabs because there's nothing better you can do than eke out an extra 7 or 8 points from individual egos.
It's almost like the engine creation lasts too long. So
if your last few turns are to get another 5 or 6 points off of eggs, you can get 5 or 6 points off of getting a bird out as well, right?
But it's so much easier to get eggs. You just take the action, and then like, look, it's points. Oh, great, grab points. And I I don't know.
It's the give me as opposed to all the options.
Yeah, and so the one thing I want to do if I do end up getting a copy is I'm going to every single time I play it, I'm just going to concentrate on getting field birds as much as possible, and then just beating the crap out of grab eggs and just
Out of Vader.
and see what my win loss is.
Yeah.
Every single time I play, and you know what. And the thing is that this comes across as so arrogant too, because obviously the game has been play tested a ton, and it's been whenever I get anybody, it's like, oh, that game's broken. Yes, you know better than the designer, the people that have this game in production for the last like 4 or 5 years, and just whatever.
It never occurred to any tester before you to actually spam eggs. You're the first one to think of it.
But here's the thing with all of that, and I've seen it firsthand. Is we play tested a game, and I play tested with the people I play with, and we play games differently than other people. I know we do. We just think differently. And when I went back to the people who designed the game and told them my concerns, they were like, wow, that's never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, because you guys play games differently than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a few friends that, like, I will play a game with them just to have them rip it apart. Because they think a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not the norm. But the problem is you get a couple of those people in a position where they play the game and they have big mouths and talk, then that's how you get your whole, this thing's broken, this thing's that, and this thing is the other.
Mm.
Like, we played the game, there was a whole, like, literally a third of the game that we didn't touch. Like, we did it just to see what it did, but once we saw what it did, we were like, that doesn't make any sense to even do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all the games they've played, they use it all the time. It's like one of the most used things, and I'm like, that's the problem, because we don't think that way.
Mm.
And that's one of the biggest problems, the biggest hurdles in game development is trying to think like other people.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, I got a weird question.
Yes.
How many games fit in a Calyx shelf for you? Yeah, just. And how tall are they?
Well, the 4 12-inch square boxes fit on each shelf.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5x5. Assume on average 5 a space. So 25 times 5. So 120 to 130 games, depending on how big or small they are. It's, what is it? I'm 6. Hold on, I'm going to stand up. That would be, looks like they're almost exactly 6 feet tall, give or take an inch.
And you got the 6x6, right?
Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Oh no, I've got 5x5s.
Oh, 5x5. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like the openings are like 13 and a half inches.
The
or something
openings
like that.
perfectly fit like a Ticket to Ride size box. If I wanted to put a Ticket to Ride, it would pretty much just very snugly fit. With its top facing out at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever that is, yeah, that's pretty much the size they are. And they're a bit deep. They're not actually perfect squares. They're deeper than they are long and wide, the individual. So you can actually put, I don't know, could you actually squeeze an entire like Concordia all the way in lengthwise? Maybe you could. I'm not sure. But they're surprisingly deep, which is nice. But what I don't like is I'm really not keen on all of these little tiny boxes because none of them actually fit. I'm always trying to find little tiny things to squeeze in here. You can see when I put this one together, I've actually left a couple of the horizontal lines out so that I could actually have a little bit more flexibility. So, they're okay. But they're cheap. They're cheap. Especially, I mean, IKEA's always, if you sign up for their family program, they're always sending you, hey, come in and they'll give you $20 off of anything. So you can get stuff pretty cheap there. Which is what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had a pickup truck because there's people constantly selling Calyx shelves around here.
Oh. What do you have?
They have? I have cheap Walmart shelves.
No, I meant your car. I mean, because we actually got the lifestyle we bought. We got home in our Prius.
Yeah, but I'm saying these are already assembled. So like someone has a 5x5 and they're moving and they don't want to take it with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I had a pickup truck, I'd go pick it up because they want like $40 for it.
Oh, totally. That's they'd be kind of a pain to take apart. You could take them apart, but that'd be kind of a pain.
Yeah.
That'd be good if I could. If so, how wide are they though? Like from one end to the other?
I will tell you by going to.
I think they're like 15 inches deep.
Calyx.
No. I mean, I guess length and height, and I'm going to say height. So if my wife watches,
please.
Height.
Let's see. Calyx series. IKEA to the web machine. Alrighty. Show me a 5x5. Because of course you want the 5x5. In the pipe. 5x5.
Aliens.
There you go. I knew you were letting me down. Yep. Not that makes any sense at all, right? That's just gobbledygook she's saying, right? That sounds cool. I mean, I assume they're talking about like some kind of approach vector, or they're like in some kind of negative wind turbulence zone or something. All I know is they're in the pipe. 5x5. They are 72 by 72 by 15 and a half deep.
Yeah. I got a weird basement because it's poured concrete, but they put this little lip, which is really annoying. And I got to figure out. But if it was 2 5x5s, and if I can get my collection down to like 250 games, I could probably put all my games on those 2 5x5s.
Oh yeah, easily.
That's the dream, I guess. Then
there you go. You just got to make it happen. You got to visualize
it. I had a dream, a dream I dreamt.
Yeah, it's just it feels. I mean, whenever like today, I went. The guy who runs the game store that's taking most of my stuff. He asked me if I wanted to grab lunch today, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, I might as well just grab some games. And I don't even remember what I grabbed now, but I just, I grabbed like 15 games and I just brought them over. And he's like, oh, cool, thanks. And like, he's just like, put them over there, and he's like, I'll figure it out, and I'll, just whatever. And he's like, right now, I was like, at the time, I was like agonizing over. It's like, oh, do I really want? And then now I can't remember which games they were. Like, what did I get rid of again? And I'm just like, oh, who cares? Obviously, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Yeah, there you go. They're just things. There's a fairly large game store in Portland, which is, I don't know, a 30-minute drive from here, and they will take your used games and give you. Maybe I think 25-30% of their retail value in store credit, or like 15% of their value in terms of money. And in January, I took them like 70 or 80 games, and just here you go, have fun. A lot of these haven't even come out yet, but I got early copies so I could film them, knock stuff out. And so, I mean, I could have done a hell of a lot better if I would have set up an auction geek list and let everybody in the Portland area know and all of that. But it's easy to underestimate the labor cost in such an endeavor. Better to just take very little cash and support the shop. Hey, I know you guys will make a lot of money off of these. That's great. So you can stay in business. So
and then there's one store. Well, there's two other stores. They both have twice a year. They have flea market days where you pay them $10 and you have a table, and then I just show up there and now people just kind of like get excited and wait, and like for me to show up, and I'm just like, and they're like, I'm like,
it's Santa.
Yeah, because I'm usually just like, 5 for $50, just pick them, and it's just like, and I usually it's like somebody will go, okay, I'll, and they get in a line, and I'm like, yeah, just take 5 for $50, and they're like, really? I was like, yeah, just take them, and and then they're like, well, can I take 10 for 100? I was like, no, you get 5 for 50. You can go to the end of the line, and then you got to let the next guy go, and then
wow.
And yeah, because otherwise the one guy would just bring $500 and he'd just take everything and walk away. So it's just like, all right, and then
ended up flipping them for twice what he paid.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got the time and energy to sell them one at a time over the next 6 months.
Well, I mean, one of the best things that happened to me, like the first time I got rid of a serious number of games, and it was around 700 to 800 games. It was all in one chunk, and a guy, like, I basically met this dude, and we talked about it, and he came and looked at it all, and he just said, and he gave me a he kind of hemmed and hawed, and like he was trying to figure out, and I was just like, I hate saying numbers, but I mean, I was just like, if this guy even come close to like $2,000, I'll say fine, done.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, I'll offer you 4,000. I was like, done. I was just
at which point he said, go.
Yeah.
I really hate to, but okay.
Oh no, I was like, done. Fine, let's do this. And I was like, you want me to help you load up? He's like, no, I'll do it. And I was like, sweet, have at it. Go for it. They were all set up on two giant folding tables in my garage, and he had this big giant truck, and he just loaded them all up, took them away. And I'm sure he made a hefty profit on them all, just like because he was a big eBay guy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was that was some sort of weird passion for him, just listing all that stuff, because there was a lot of like out of print and really rare. I mean, there were games in there that were like.
Well, actually, then, if you're not too terribly picky about it, and you said you have a wife who kind of has a mind for just knuckling down and doing that kind of rote, almost data entry stuff, why aren't you just throwing everything on eBay and saying, okay,
then I have to go to the post office. You weren't here earlier.
I came in at the tail end. Apparently, somebody was saying something about stamp machines or some such.
I hate the post office.
But just literally sign up for stamps.com for 1 month. They'll give you a printer. You just print everything out, and
that's so much effort. And it's just at this point, I just want it all gone. I want it all gone, and I want to have like the 200 to 300 games that I know at some point they'll come off the shelf and I'll play them. And other than that, I just want it all gone. I want to get rid of all these rickety bookshelves that I own. Thankfully, our spring cleaning week's coming. I'm going to put all these bookshelves out in the goddamn lawn and let the crazies come and pick it all over. And if they don't get it before the truck comes, they can just take them all and throw them away. And I'm going to, what?
You're in like 2 game groups though, right? I mean, wouldn't there be a case of, okay, everybody come over?
I'm in 3, really.
Yeah, you're in 3 game groups. I mean, just open up the door to them. Won't they pick you clean?
Oh, well, they will, but then they get all picky and choosy. And I'm just like, dude, just take them. Well, like, I got a buddy coming over tomorrow night, and I've got like a stack of 20 games for him. I said, Brad, he's got 3 younger kids, and he's trying to get them into like gaming. I was like, look, I just here, I said, come over at 7. I'll have games for you. And he's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, just come over. I don't care. They're gone. And I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, they also get really. This is mean to say, but some of them are like, they know that I'm like, don't really care about the money at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh yeah, here's like this whatever game with like all the expansions to it that like if I went to Board Game Geek and I said for $100, somebody would buy it. They're like, oh, I'll give you $25. I'm like, get out of here. Just like just say $50 and I'll say fine here. But no, you're like trying to like lowball me at this point. I don't know. That's the stuff that it's just like whatever.
Yeah, you're getting rid of games. I just bought another one.
Yeah, no, but it's fine.
Do you not just have an attic that you can just out of sight, out of mind at all?
I do, but it's like sealed because winter. So like it's all insulated up there and sealed, and if we're like going through this process now where like we've lived here for 10 years and we've squirreled away so much crap. Like, it's time to.
So the games are just part of this process.
Oh yeah, and it's just, and I come downstairs and it's just like, and I'm not talking about that Netflix show about getting rid of all your stuff, but I mean, I got rid of probably I took probably, I'm gonna guess, 50 pounds worth of clothes and just took it to the Salvation Army.
Mhm.
I was just like, I mean, I finally went through all of my clothes and I was just like, yeah, I haven't seen this T-shirt in 5 years. It's gone. You know, some husky gentleman went to the local Goodwill and was like, "Oh
And
my
had a
God,
field
look at
day.
all these, look at these 3X T-shirts! All I want." You know, and I was just like, "Yeah, fine, cool, done." You know, and that was like amazing. Like actually being able to see like the bottom of my dresser drawer and like, yeah, just and it's just yeah, it feels good to get rid of it
Having
all.
to move my
Oh, totally.
collection did not distract me from getting rid of games.
Well, and here's the other thing, and all this stuff I'm talking about. I just need to get rid of that. I'm gonna ditch this. I'm gonna ditch that. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Nobody's touching my D&D books, of which I have easily over 1,000. And like my wife's like, "You have too many books." I was like, "Don't even think about it." I was like,
I will buy the
That's-
house next door for my book.
"Yeah, that's my treasured childhood. You don't get to go ahead and touch those. You know, those are never going." I mean, because I am an RPGer long before I played any board games really, and I just it's like you don't get to.
How
That's
much space does 1,000 book D&D books take up?
Not much. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
it's not nearly as much. I mean, but I mean, I have a very good library of D&D stuff, and it's like she's like, "You're never gonna read all these." I was like, "But I read them once," and yeah, and it isn't just D&D. I mean, it's like how many different RPGs do I own? You know, so many, and
I read the Bible once. I'm not throwing that away.
um, yeah. So I just yeah. I mean, it's just like I won't. So like one, and then I gotta find like a quality. I wish I could find like it because so we don't have an IKEA near us, but we have an IKEA in the Twin Cities, and we go to Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is the Twin Cities. We go there 4 or 5 times a year. And I was gonna go to Minneapolis. I was gonna go to IKEA when I went to Con of the North, but I was sick and I didn't want to do it, and you know, just like wasn't gonna happen. But we're going back in March, you know, for like spring break for the kids, and we're gonna go to some children's museums and just, you know, kind of just, you know, make a weekend of hanging out. And we're gonna go to IKEA, and so I kind of like one. There's like a really good desk that I want to get that I'm gonna set up as my painting area and like also my work area for the basement. And I've been like figuring out what I want to do with that. And I got to pick out shelves. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe I can get these Calyx and maybe I can do this, that, and the other thing. But I gotta find like decent bookshelves, like because I have these crappy Walmart bookshelves that have all this stuff on it, which they're not necessarily bad. It's just I don't know, they look lame and dumb. They make me mad, you know. And I see all these pictures of people with like this is my game room, you know, and it just looks really nice and it looks like well put together. And it's kind of like, and I've never really felt like, oh, I just want to have things look nice. I've never felt like that ever. But I do now. I'm like, oh, yeah, that would be really nice if it like looked like that. You know, if I can have stuff like look cool like that, that would make me happy. You know, I got my gaming table now. I got my stuff. I got my things. You know, it's like I'm putting the pieces together, and I can kind of see it in the future, but I just got to make it happen now. Which bring in mind, so Tale of the Ultimate Gaming or whatever, like they sent out this thing where I'm not once again, the table's amazing. So I've got everything now except for my my drink holders. I'm still waiting for like the 4 or 5 drink holders that I'm getting, and it's just like but the little panel things that they have, the decorations, like one of the things for one of the decorations, it's warped, so the bottom magnet doesn't connect. So if anybody even like breathes on them, they just fall off. So I'm like, so So they sent out this email that said, if you haven't gotten all of your stuff for your table of gaming, email this thing and let us know. And so I emailed them, and also then I got, and I'll just say this: there's a lot of really good quality stuff that that they have for the table of ultimate gaming. The dice towers are crap. I'm just gonna say that right now. So if they are like the worst dice towers. But one of the dice towers I had, like the one that they're all latticed on the side to make them look nice. One of them like had like all these, like the lattice was all broken in like 4 or 5 places, and it looks like crud. So I was like, okay, so it's like, hey, where? So like a week ago, I sent him. I'm still waiting on my drink holders. I don't know when if you have an approximation for when those are going to be here. And I said, these decoration things are all warped and they won't work. And this one dice tower is broken. And and that was like a week ago, and I haven't heard anything back. It's just like, it's so weird. Their customer service is so weird. Sometimes I've emailed the customer support, and like within 2 hours I get a response.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, like now, I email and it's like, whatever. It's just like it doesn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
or the other thing is, I've gotten we're still waiting, and then like an hour later, I get a shipping notification.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you're waiting, or you have it?
Well, and then here's the other thing. So I don't have enough room right now I got 2 tables, so I don't have enough room right now to set up the other table. Just there isn't enough room for it, and I don't foresee myself having enough room for a while. So I have all these giant boxes with all of the components in them, and I'm like, okay, so I got to put these somewhere. And right now they're just sitting. And I know what I got to do. I just got to put them up in like the rafters in my garage, and just put them up there. Fairly well climate controlled. They'll be safe. They'll be out of
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, but it's like our garage is full of crud right now because of the fact it's winter, and like cars and snow and snow blowers and things like that. I don't know. I walk down to that room and I just immediately just get agitated and angry, about all the junk that's everywhere.
It's just weighing you down. Do you have enough of a yard for like a, backyard, sheds and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. We've talked about building a shed many times, just like, and my dad, who's built several of them, has offered, but of course he's like 75, so I would feel really bad about making my 75-year-old father come over. And I've looked into like the sheds and stuff like that, which would be good for like putting like our lawnmower and everything like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then like I'd have room in the garage for it. But like I said, I told my wife, I just said, here's the deal. I was like, and this is not me blaming anyone, because I'm just as bad as her as with all the junk that's in our garage too. I mean, just scattered piles of crud that just need to be thrown away. Mm-hmm. And like but there's like this pile of lumber from all of our like our different can't even think of the word I'm trying to say, like all the different projects we've done around the house, just like, and it's like, and I said, we just got to get rid of this. I was like, let me cut it all up and we can just burn it in our fire pit, during the summer when we have fires outside. And she's just like, no, I have plans for some of this. What
you married
plan?
A hoarder?
No, she is not. She is not a hoarder at all. But I mean,
a hoarder in training?
But she has, no, I'm the hoarder. She's very good about trying to get rid of stuff all the time. But she's always just like, oh, it's like, I gotta, it's just like, I've got plans for this wood. And I'm like, this is like, 27 different random pieces of 2x4. I mean, yes, theoretically you could do something with this, or I could just go over to the table saw over there, cut it up into nice 6 to 10 foot inch chunks, and I could pile it up outside in our wood pile, and then we could just throw it and then I can have fires outside during the spring and during the summer, and we can just burn it all up, and then it'd be gone, and I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And we could toast marshmallows and enjoy our days. It's stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, and it's just like I'm everything's just. I think that the winter's been lasting too long too. So
well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you are definitely not your normal chipper yet grumpy self. And
yeah, no, it's just it's always like, okay. I mean, I know the way you eat an elephant is by one bite at a time, but man, it's just getting tough to get that bite done in a lot of situations.
Do you have like a Habitat for Humanity type places around you that would take those 2x4s and whatnot?
Yeah, but they're not going to take random size 2x4s.
Oh,
yeah, we do.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
I go there we go there quite often because I bought some of my I bought like good office chairs there. I bought I actually kind of like the Habitat for Humanity place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll happen, and eventually I'll be that person who can post cool pictures. But see, the other problem is that I don't like. I want to like have it also closed off in some way because it's just like the downstairs family room is pretty open, but I also don't want to like close it off in a way that like
it feels closed in.
Well, I wouldn't care if it was closed in, but I mean the idea is that we're not going to live here forever, right? We're going to eventually move, and so it's one of those things where I could easily build a wall, put a door in. It would take a day, but I could do that. Hang some sheetrock. I could mud it and tape it, and I could paint it, and it'd be done. Day and a half tops. And I could even have a door, and I could put some soundproofing up, and I'd have my own spot, right? But I don't want to do that because nobody's going to want to buy a house that looks like that. It's like throwing $5,000 out the window when I sell the house, and that's dumb. And I don't want to do it and then demo it later either. So I got to come up with a way that like I can just when I am like trying to film something or I'm trying to like work down there and it's like and there's people, they can't just like barge in and bug me. I can keep the dogs out of there making noise when I'm trying to record podcasts and things like that. It's just so I like that's like a challenging thing where I'm trying to like how would I do that? How would I, I'm not going to put up the hippie beaded curtain or anything, just like something dumb like that. But yeah, it's see, like right now I'm in my wife's office, and this is a very comfortable room to be in. This is my old game room, actually. This is where I used to do all my filming. And so it's like, it's kind of cozy in here. It's nice. It's very chill. I don't know. But the thing is that every single time I start talking about getting rid of games, like right now, like if I could like take this mindset that I have right now about these games are going, like between, and if I walked out there right now and I had somebody who would take them, then they would they'd be gone, and I wouldn't even think about it again. But like it's between now and like the time where I actually go and I sit down and like actually start going through things one by one, and I'm like, oh, can I really, it's just like okay, so like the Kickstarter version of Anachrony, which I thought Anachrony was a good game. Yeah, but it wasn't amazing. But it's like, but this is like the Kickstarter version. So if I just ever decided I wanted to play it again, if I got rid of this, I can't get this version back, And I haven't played Cerebria yet. Does anybody know if Cerebria is any good?
No.
There you go.
Richard, have you played Cerebria?
No, I did not. I passed on it because it was too area control mean. too mean for my Care Bear ways. So
here's the main problem with Cerebria. It's a 2 versus 2 game, which is not really easy to get people to play.
Okay. Is it?
It's one of those. All right. So Lance, Richard probably too. Do you have like older relatives who played like card games together, like bridge?
Oh, yeah.
And you remember the 2 that used to fight with each other all the time because they had to be partners with each other? This is the problem with Cerebria. People are not used to playing 2 versus 2 games. And it's a totally different kind of game than the other 2. I like Anachrony a lot. And Anachrony, again, like you said, like I could definitely play the regular retail version of Anachrony. The fancy stuff in the Kickstarter version doesn't really do anything.
Yeah,
it's just really cool to have it.
I'm the jackass that's like, oh yeah, just like, oh, I really like, oh, you know, I don't know, I'm dumb like that.
I don't like the box. The box is too big. The box is too damn big.
Well, it's like the same size.
I bet it's Calyx is deep enough for it.
It's like the same size as
find out
a Lisboa or a.
No, it's like even a weirder size than Lisboa. But at least like Lisboa, you have Lisboa and the Gallerist and the other ones, and they're all the same size. And that box is big.
No, it doesn't fit. Calyx fails.
Yeah, get rid of it now.
Yep.
I've gotten rid of many a game because of the box size.
Yeah. Sticks out just over half an inch.
Calyx shelves, though, do not make you hate Stronghold games that come in that stupid box shape. Everyone else is making squares, but let's make rectangles.
You mean let's see, I think Kanban is in that size?
Kanban is, wait. Yeah, Kanban is in that size. Survivor's in that size. Where it's the regular Ticket to Ride
that's just
shape one way, but not the other way.
Yeah.
But the Anachrony box is about the same size as like a Lisboa or Vinos, those things, right?
It's close, but it's not the same.
It's a bit bigger. Yeah, definitely a bit bigger.
Like that's the one thing about all those Matt Kurtz games is they're all the same size, except for the last one.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Steamship. Where they just threw it all away.
Steamship?
Yeah, isn't that what it is? The latest Matt Kurtz? This Concordia building big ships, basically?
It wasn't Steamship, it was Steve. No, I know what you're talking about, though, yeah. Transatlantic? Was that
Transatlantic.
Yes. Originally, it was going to be Steamship or Steamship Company, and they changed it to Transatlantic, which is a better title. But in my mind, it's Steamship.
So, Lance, you know what I miss the most about my old house? Speaking of storage and stuff. So, the house, they had converted the garage into a family room sometime in the 80s. And they did built-in like VHS shelves in the family room.
Okay.
And I missed them because I used to store all of my like Silverline games. Like the ones that came in that little small like VHS shaped box on those shelves. And now I don't have them anymore.
Womp womp. Well, just get rid of all the Silverline games. None of them are really that good.
But I mean, anything that came in that like size box. Like I had those. I have the blue orange. Not blue orange. The other cup. The people who did not Illuminati was the hell the games they did. It was blue something. They all came. They had Demo Crazy and a few of the other games. But yeah, they'll fit nicely on those shelves.
You know, okay, I want to say this. You know how I really, what I really, there's two things I really despise right now. And I shouldn't say despise, but two things that really grind my gears, as they say. When I am waiting for a Kickstarter game that I backed, waiting for it to show up, and I'm waiting, and it's overdue. Yeah, I don't care what the reason is. I mean, it could, but it's overdue, and I get an update from you. I'm like, oh, cool, an update. Maybe they're going to be shipping soon. No, you're trying to sell me something else, or and people are going to say, oh, what are you talking about? Nothing in particular. Nothing in particular. I'm not, but either you're trying to, or double damn you straight to goddamn hell. You're launching another Kickstarter. Just like, that's fine. Launch another Kickstarter. I don't care. Sell all the shit you want. Don't send me an update on my campaign, or I gave you fucking money and you haven't given me my shit yet, and you're gonna go on like, oh.
All right, so Lance, on that same note, how do you feel about people who send an update on every Kickstarter project they've ever done, letting you know about their new project?
Oh my God. It's just like, I turn those off.
God forbid you back 2 or 3 of their previous projects.
That you get 2 or 3 emails?
You get an update on each one. So they send an update to the group, and you get an update on a project of a game that funded 3 years ago.
But it's just a couple of emails. It's not that big a deal. Perhaps I just think differently about email than you.
The only one.
Or you think differently about email.
The only one that I haven't turned off, like I've said, don't send me any more updates for this, because it's pretty easy through Kickstarter to say, don't send me any more, update emails from this particular thing. It's pretty easy to do. The only one I hold on to is the Ogre one, the giant Ogre box that was the Kickstarter from whatever it was, like 7 or 8 years ago. They're on update number like 289 or something like that. It's update number 289. Brand new Kickstarter for Car Wars. Just like, yeah, okay, let's see how many updates I can possibly get on this ridiculous campaign that ended 1,000 years ago. Back when spending $100 on a board game was unheard of. It's like, oh, do I really want to spend $100 on Ogre? Oh, geez, this seems so. Oh man, I don't know if I can do this. Now it's like the goddamn norm. Just and then I will like say, okay, and then the other thing that's like grinding my gears right now,
the Dutch.
Yeah, the Dutch. Screw the Netherlands. So okay, I said the thing about you maybe lose your train of thought. Hold on. I said the thing about the update and like trying to sell me something, and then the other thing. When you're and this just might be me, but when your thing is late. And I don't care what the reasons is. The thing is late, and you come in and you give me the reason why it's still not going to be delivered to me anytime soon, and you don't even have the common courtesy to say just a simple line of, something like, we apologize for this delay. We know you're frustrated. Please understand. It's like we're working on this as hard as we can. Just something along those lines. All you have to do is just say you're sorry. Just say you're sorry. Just apologize. But like some of them just don't. They just say, oh, well, it looks like our artist that we gave money to hasn't been able to get our stuff. So it looks like it's going to be another 28 months. See you later. Just say you're sorry. Just say you're sorry.
Are they not saying they're sorry like the same way you're not supposed to admit fault in a car accident? That, oh, look, you apologize, so this is all your fault, and are they protecting themselves?
I think that's what it is in a lot of ways. I mean, that's what my gut feels. I would like to point everybody out to a campaign that I got notified to. The Kickstarter campaign is called "Digitally Erase the Rat from the End of The Departed." and it's somebody who wants $4,000, which he has gotten, that will allow him to. He goes, "This is what I need." This he's like 4,000. He wants to digitally
It is the
erase.
most brilliant Kickstarter campaign I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. So here it is. It's like you
how
can
he's
look it
spending the money is the best part of the entire campaign.
Step 1, I need $18.91 to buy a Blu-ray of The Departed. I could probably find it on BitTorrent, but I think it's important to support the filmmakers in the studio and not break the law. Step 2, I need $141.54 to buy a Blu-ray player because these days I only stream movies online. Step 3, I've never ripped a Blu-ray before, and a quick Google search led me to the website of ACROC Video Converter Ultimate, which costs $59 and apparently tops the list of the best Blu-ray ripper software of 2019 for that it provides the most timely and comprehensive Blu-ray ripping solution to movie lovers. Step number 4, I need $599 to hire Ed Mundy, a visual effects artist who has worked on many popular TV shows and movies.
But you can't pay him $600. That's the best part.
To digitally erase the rat from the final shot. I am paying Ed $599 because if you pay someone $600 or more, the IRS requires you to send them a 1099 MISC form at the end of the year, and that's too much work for me. Step 5, because my end goal was to make this ratless version of The Departed the official version of the film, and because Scorsese shot The Departed in the film, I need $414.59 to print the digital file onto 35mm film. Actually, I need 318 pounds because a British company was the only place that responded to my request. Step number 6, since I have no way of viewing 35mm film, I need $169.92 to scan the film print and convert it to a digital file so I can view it myself. Step number 7, I need $57.69 to pay for a 1-month subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. This will allow me to edit the digital scan of the 35mm film print of the ratless digital file into the end of The Departed. Adobe doesn't offer a free 7-day trial of their suite, but I've already used that to make this Kickstarter video. Step number 8, I need $38.31 to buy a 50-pack of blank Blu-ray discs and $2.71 to buy a black Sharpie marker so that I can burn 50 Blu-ray copies of my improved version of The Departed and properly label them.
Here it comes.
Step number 9, I need $375 to hire an intern to burn 50 Blu-ray copies of the definitive version of The Departed. Many companies don't pay their interns, but I've always thought that was a shameful practice, so I'm committed to paying my intern $15 an hour and figure will take about 25 hours to complete the task. The catch, I cannot sell any of these Blu-ray copies because even though it is obviously a far better version of The Departed, I do not own the rights to the movie. So if you would like to receive one of the 50 limited edition copies of the ratless version of The Departed, you'll have to contribute $70 or more. This will allow me to buy you a legal Blu-ray Department, throw that disc away, and replace it with my superior version and mail it to you.
And he's hit his target. He's hit his 4,000.
He's got his $4,000.
All right. Has he got any stretch goals yet?
No stretch goals. Other than that, he's out. But yeah, but good for him. He's got a dream.
Mm-hmm.
But no. So you may ask. So the first one I said, like, don't tell me about something else you're selling. I don't want to hear about it because I said I don't want to run anybody down. I don't want to. But in this case, I will totally explain my frustration and what exact company that I'm having a problem with. So I gave this company Raven Rook, like something or other, like some little boutique thing that was going to make these little ring binder campaign diaries for playing D&D, and like it would keep track of all your character and you could just have it, and it was the Mischief and Misadventure campaign planner. And so I gave him this money, and it was due June of 2018, and it has just all these updates have been like just again and again and again, just like, oh, like where was like where is this, like, oh, we wanted to do that, and like it's like we wanted to like move into a new studio place, so they couldn't do anything then, and it's just more and more expensive. So February, they say like February updates. So they posting all these pictures about their new workshop and how they spent like all this money on this giant printing needs and all these things. And there's this big, long, super giant like update. And they said we will no longer respond to any comments because people are like super negative. And this is also the same one I said where they said anybody who like continues to have negative comments, we will, it's just like we will refund your money and you won't get your.
And then everybody just started.
And then everybody was just like, okay, give me back their money. No, we're not giving anybody their money. Just like they called their bluff. But it's just like, oh, it's been a while since our last update. It's like we have photos of our shop in progress. It's like after nearly 3 full months, the construction project that was only supposed to take 3 days was completed earlier this month. So it kind of go on. So that's like 3 months of like this construction. The electrician came and installed most of the electrical, though the specific outlet that our new press requires is back ordered until later this week. So they'll be back to finish as soon as it comes in. We just passed our fire and safety inspection, so our business license should be issued this week. And they said we can't send anything out until we get our new business license. Why? Why can't you just go to the post office? They're saying all these things are done. Just what's going to happen if you send one and you don't have the business license on the wall? What's going to happen? I don't understand. It's just like it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like Xerox is scheduled to begin delivering and installing our new press on Wednesday. The install itself takes 3 days. Then our entire staff needs to undergo another 3 full days of training. Most of our furniture has arrived and been assembled, and the rest of the schedule will arrive again later this week. Our new lamination tools should be delivered, and you guessed it, by the end of the week.
Nobody cares.
Lastly, our automated punch machine is coming along. We're expecting to be ready for delivery at the end of the month. Production update. Shipping out rewards had to be paused while we moved and while our new workshop was being inspected and while we wait for the business license to issue for our new workshop. As soon as we have that magical piece of paper tacked up to our wall, we can resume shipping rewards in earnest. Why? Why do you need that? That means we've been stuck at 80% completion for the majority of the last 3 months, which is definitely not where we were hoping to be. However, we are primed and ready, so the 20% of you that are still waiting won't be waiting much longer. And it's just like that one throughout this whole thing, it's like they're the victims. It's like, oh, this is just taking so long. It's just like just say you're sorry. Just say you're sorry. Just like make me just lie. And I just and this is one of the things where they posted, and of course they didn't respond to anything. It said, come tomorrow, the 19th. This is from 2 days ago. We will be officially 10 calendar days away from the end of February. You're officially listed max time for the continental US and the cutoff for delivering by the end of February. I, along with many others, have watched our orders sit for over a month in production. Per your notes, at the bare minimum, all of our orders were sitting unbound. Most likely they're in some combination of completion, either waiting on add-ons, covers, or just to be assembled. At the absolute worst, they are ready to be packaged and have yet to be done so. That being said, I find it extremely strange that with all the Kickstarter books having been printed by a third party and over a month of downtime with at least 2 extra employees, these orders have yet to be shipped. Taking into account the current state of your shop and the bits of information that we can glean from the Twitter, which you seem to love to use, it appears that you certainly have your hands full with the remodel, which I understand, up until I saw the announcement for not the second, but the 3rd Kickstarter since this one was announced. And your original backers still have not received their awards. I have no doubt at this point the numerous steps along the process have gone awry. I am sure that you are doing your best. I am sure that new employees have helped. This does not change the fact that you still have a Kickstarter's worth of backers waiting for their rewards that are instead saw an advertisement for more products to purchase. Yeah, this guy. Yeah,
Did they offer him a discount? A refund?
No, they didn't. They didn't at all. And then, of course, like somebody, I wholeheartedly agree with Ryan. There's quite the outrage when you announce the second Kickstarter and seeing as how you still have yet to fulfill your first project, which makes me mad. You aren't allowed to launch another Kickstarter until you fulfill your first one. Like your very first Kickstarter ever, like you have to fulfill that before they'll let you launch another one. But somehow they got to launch another one, which I don't understand. I find it highly disturbing and suspicious that you would launch a third one. What's worse is that the second Kickstarter was estimated in April shipping time. Well, we are approaching the end of February and still no real estimate of when we'll get the rest of our orders. It's understandable that you have a lot of going on. They want to expand your business, but don't bite off more than you can chew. It's a good way to piss off your clientele and quickly crash and burn. Try to finish what you start first and learn from those mistakes. These things better, and like, just these things better be worth, just look like gold when I get them. But they're just going to be garbage. I just know it. And it just... I get it. I run Kickstarters, so I understand when you have these people that are angry about whatever. But it's like when it doesn't even feel like you're trying. It's just like, or you're just like the worst.
Hey, Seth.
How's it going?
Yeah, I acknowledge you when you walked in because then Lance will be like, Seth's in the chat. You won't come in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd stop in and see what you guys were talking about.
We were talking about games.
Tales of
But
Woe.
we're done now, so let's talk about politics.
I say that never happened. We were talking about games.
What game would you like to talk about, Seth? In what way are your normal chat options failing you? I noticed it seems like every time you post, where can I find someone to talk about games? That's the impression I get.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do like talking about games. Mostly I like talking about like game design. I used to, in the Board Game Designers Forum, used to have an IRC chat room. And I used to get in there all the time and just chat with other people who were thinking about game designs and whatever. And it was super fun. And I miss it. And I was reminded of it today in Twitter. So anyway. But yeah, so I don't know what game. So my sister just got Azul today to teach to my parents. She's in town.
I'll be right back.
So that's a game.
Yes.
What else? I'm playing Burgundy right now online. And man, I like that game, but I hate that game at the same time.
What do you hate?
Well, one of the things I've always said is playing in real life, like the game would be really great if it was like an hour-long game, but it's always a 2-hour-long game. But that doesn't really apply to online play. So it's pretty good for online play, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't like about it is, and part of this is just me not playing the way you play when you have a dice game, right? Is I frequently I'm not happy with my roll. Like I can't do what I want to do because I just can't roll the right number or whatever. And I know you get the worker guys, you can adjust numbers and you can like work around it and stuff, but the extent to which you have control over that, it's just a little less than I'd like, I guess. So like, I mean, I like the idea of the game in general, but all the time I find myself not having the right dice and not, I wait 3 turns in a row to do a thing and just can't get the right dice for it.
So you're saying you just want it to be a more strategic and less tactical game to your taste?
Maybe, or
I mean, because I can't think of it. I can't think ever. There's been a time when I didn't feel like I could do something valuable.
Well, I can always do something, but it's never what I want to do. I think what I need to do is just be a little more flexible when I'm playing that game, knowing that I might not get the roll I want. Right?
Yeah, because that's the nature of it.
I don't think it's a problem with the game. It annoys me when I play it because I frequently.
Do you feel?
I just want to do one thing and I just can't get that one thing done. And
do you feel because you're not physically rolling actual dice that it's hampering you?
No, I'd rather not roll actual dice. Okay. I was saying before that I was playing Dice Forge online, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I can't imagine playing it in real life. I think it would be terrible. Dice Forge, you got to roll like 1 million dice, and I would hate that.
There's a lot of dice rolling. It's true.
Yeah.
So would you rather Burgundy be a dice drafting game where there's just like a big bunch of dice, you roll them all right at the beginning, and then you're pulling out of draft?
I might like that better, actually. Yeah, I might like that better. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can see, and you could, okay, well, if I can get that 3 after I get that 5, I mean, you could still run into the same problem, I suppose, but then it wouldn't be random. It would be other players.
Well, like Burgundy with 12 rules.
Yeah.
I really disliked TWAB, but I think it might have been because of the situation more than the game itself. I don't even remember how to play that game at this point. But I played TWAB twice, and the first time I played it was like the worst gaming experience I ever had. It took like 4 hours. Part of that was because it was a PGG con and we had to stop in the middle for like the announcements or whatever, the whole like partying ceremonies. But that wasn't so bad. What was bad was one player was constantly complaining about the graphic design instead of taking his turn, and we were learning from someone who only kind of knew the rules, and the rule book was in like we had a foreign language rule book that we couldn't read, and some of the iconography wasn't as intuitive as we would have hoped. It was like the worst possible like
Perfect
playing of the game. Most yeah, and then years later I learned it again from somebody else and here in town, and that guy, you know, he's a nice guy. He loves games, but he's really bad at teaching games. And so he did a really terrible job of teaching. And my friend and I, who actually played before, did not learn from him. Like, we were unable to learn from him, even though we played before. It was rough. So both times that I tried playing that game, it did not work out too well. And it might not be the game's fault.
I think not. I mean, it's a fantastic game. Yeah.
But interesting to your point. I'd be interested to. I think it'd be fun to try Burgundy as like a dice drafting game where you roll, you know, 2N dice, maybe 2N plus 1 or something, and draft them instead of having everyone have their own 2 dice.
Yeah.
Although there is something about looking at other people's rolls and be like, all right, you can't take the 6, so I'm not worried about you, that kind of thing. But I don't know. The other thing is, I noticed when I'm playing online, it's super easy for me to ignore my opponent and just play solitaire, more so than in real life. In real life, I can look at your board and see what's up. In this game, I can do that, but I have to like flip tabs or whatever in this on boardasyou.net, which I can do, but I just don't. I just don't care what you're doing. I'm just doing my own thing. And at the beginning of this game, I started off really well. I'm playing against a 2-player. I started off really well, and everything was great. And then I kind of didn't pay attention to what he was doing at all. And I got to like one of those junctures where I like was waiting 4 turns in a row to do this one thing or whatever, and it never happened. And then I looked at his board, and all of a sudden he's like wrecking me. He took over turn order from me, and he took over like I was trying to get like I had all these boats, and he like didn't have any, and I was gonna like get all these goods and sell them and stuff. And then I just couldn't get my goods were full, and I couldn't get the thing to sell the goods. And by the time I did, I'm like, oh great, and I can pick up like 3 goods at once. Only the last 2 turns my friend did that, so they were all gone because I spent too much time just trying to set that up, and I was ignoring him. So it's super easy to just play solitaire, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, like some of these games I like are largely solitary type games, but if they're any good, they're not. You know, you'd behoove yourself to like look at what your opponent's doing, and you know, and stuff like that. And it's real easy for me to ignore that when I'm just playing on my screen.
But you still enjoy it anyway, without the human touch and all of that, you know, that social connection across the table and looking them in the eye and shared communal experience and etc.
To be honest, no, I don't like it as much. I've never been a big fan of playing online board games. But I've done it before. But every once in a while I'll play a game or something like that. But like, I don't know. I don't get excited about playing online. But lately I've been unable to play in person. I much prefer to play in person. But lately I haven't been able to play in person. And so Board Game Arena has been saving my hide as far as gaming is concerned. It's the only game, pretty much the only game I've been doing is online with Board Game Arena. And it's kind of a good lucky thing because when I was in the hospital with my baby for 6 weeks, right around then is when Eminence Domain went online on Board Game Arena. And that was cool. And they was about to, and they gave me like a access to it so I could test for bugs and whatever. So I started doing that. And then, you know, when we got home, I was, you know, I had this 6-week-old baby. It was just out of the hospital. I basically was at home all the time. I couldn't really leave and do anything. So I was doing a lot of playing Eminence Domain on there, and it went live right around then, and people were playing it, and it was great. And I was like, what else? What other games they have? I was checking out what games they have, and I'd played a couple of them in the past, but I got a few of my friends. We played like some Sulkin. We played some. I actually wrote a little post about this. Let's see what I played. I played a whole bunch of games in a row, and I ended up. They kind of take too long if you play too many people, like turn-based. I can't really play a real-time game on there because I might have to get up and leave at any moment, or I can't commit to the time. So I like to play turn-based. But the problem with that is if you play like a 4-player game of Signore or something turn-based, you take a turn, and it's not your turn for like 2 days, and I don't know what I was doing, you know. So that sucks.
I can only play it live online.
Yeah.
Like
So
I'll get like online with on a Google Hangout in one window with people, so you can actually talk.
yeah, actually, I haven't used it too much. I mean, like Board Game Arena has a built-in chat feature, and mostly I've been playing 2-player games because of this time situation. So me and my friend, who's always up late at night, he lives in California, I think. We can chat if we want, and about whatever, and we can play our game, and it's good because you can, even though it's turn-based, if you're both sitting at the computer, it's effectively real time.
Right.
So we can play like half a game, and then okay, time for bed or whatever. But yeah, I played quite a variety of games, actually. I was just looking at this last night. I played Sulkin, Stone Age, Russian Railroads, Dice Forge, Sobek, Kalis, Hawaii, and right now I'm playing The Year of the Dragon. I tried Penny Press. We talked about that last time. I wanted to check it out. I feel like that was a neat sort of an auction, but like the game felt a little one-dimensional. I'd like more to it, I think. I played a game of Ponte de Diavolo, which is an abstract game. I played it once before and I had forgotten, and I don't really like those games that much. Played a bunch of Race for a while, Race to the Galaxy, Seasons. Played a couple games of Signore, 2-player and a couple like 3-player as well. I don't know if I like them or not.
And you're not playing any Alter Ego amongst all of that.
No, I can't. I haven't figured out still. I did talk that you hooked me up with Vital.
Yeah.
Vital, right?
Yeah.
And he did email me and say that he'd help me out, but I haven't really
followed up or
done anything about it. Yeah. But yeah, I ought to. That's what I ought to do. I ought to get that one.
I know. Yeah, you've got these captive audiences. You might as well get some work out of them. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, and then a couple of games by Antoine Bauza, Takenoko and Tokaido, just remind me how much I like Antoine Bauza and how much I like those two games because they're really good. They're like better than you first think. Have you played
Takenoko?
What?
I mean, Tokaido I can see, I suppose, but the big gigantic bamboo eating panda bear one?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a better game than you might think.
It's better than Tokaido.
Well, and so I'm
they're both terrible is what they are. They're both awful games.
They're not terrible.
I just said it was better than Tokaido. That's all I said.
Yeah, fair. Yes. And
so Tokaido is interesting at 2 players because you get that neutral meeple.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it a little bit different than like the multiplayer game. I feel like you get a little more, I don't know, control blocking or whatever. It's pretty good. One thing I didn't love about Tokaido, especially 2-player, is that like the player powers, some of them are so specific that it's like super easy to block them, and it's like you don't have a player power. So that's kind of a bummer. But the game in general is pretty good. I mean, it's not like the heaviest game ever. It's not like best of all time, but it's a very, very pleasant, very like it's actually a solid, good game. And like at first you play and you're like, oh, this is just kind of breezy, but it's actually there's more to it than that. And it's good. They're solid games. I'm surprised that you think they're not.
Oh man, I barely remember it now, but I remember Tokaido might have been my first, because that was around the time I started playing games. My first, oh my god, this is actual shit. This is really terrible. Not all games are good.
I wonder. So you're playing 2 players. Did you not like the blocking? Did you not like the blocking?
It's been so long since I remember. Mostly, what I seem to recall is it was so insanely, stupidly blind luck centric with the flop of objectives. They can just pop up and, oh, what do you know? I just got whatever XDY points for no reason at all, just because things happen to fall my way. I could be totally wrong about that, but that's kind of what I very dimly remember from whatever it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Well, first of all, are you talking about Takenoko or Tokaido?
I'm talking about Takenoko.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tokaido was procedural.
The main thing I remember about Tokaido was, why am I not playing Glenn Moore? Which does this so much better.
Yeah.
Because the main thing I remember about Takenoko or Tokaido was, if you're going to do a time, a time track game, you really have to incentivize people to make a big jump. Otherwise, they just never will.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to.
Especially in a 2-player game.
I taught Tokaido at Gen Con to 40 people throughout the weekend. And I basically explained the game to them. I said, this is a casual game about a casual walk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a lighter game. It's not Glen Moore, but it's like a, people play Sushi Go instead of Seven Wonders,
Yeah, but there really is no incentive to make a big jump.
Exactly. That's the problem. And there's no reason for that.
Like in Glenmore, there's times when you're like, oh, fine, I won't take a turn for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But this is worth it for me to jump this far up.
In Tokaido, there are times where you make jumps. If you, I mean,
it's very rare.
I don't know. I think maybe that if you play it a lot, you probably find more chances. I mean, yeah, certainly the first time you play, you're probably like, why would I jump at all? I'll just go one step.
Yeah,
then
we all have to stop and eat together.
Sure, but like, if you start like jumping forward to the farm or whatever, like you skip up something you don't care about, and then you have the money and it blocks your opponent from getting the money, and they run out of money at the food and they're screwed. They're down 6 points next time because they don't get any food. That stuff can matter. Or if you're racing to get like the last piece of a panorama, which is worth an extra 3, which is like 8 points if you're depending on which panorama it is, worth 5, 6, 7, 8 points.
I'm sure there's one, yes.
Well, I mean, there are different amounts depending on which panorama. But like, so yeah, some of these plays are worth like quite a bit. And yeah, so jumping forward to get that is definitely can be worth it. And with 2-player, it's a little interesting because you get that neutral meeple that you can block with.
I don't know what you're talking about there. Was that the case in the original printing? I don't remember there being a neutral meeple.
Yes.
I think so, yeah, but it's only a 2-player. Okay. So what's neat about it is so there's a third neutral meeple, and whenever the meeple's turn, because it's the farthest back, the person who's farthest ahead gets to move it.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere you want. And it just blocks up that space, basically. A little more than that. It blocks up that space, and if it happens to be the food thing, I think it randomly takes out a food, but if it happens to be a temple space, the neutral guy gets 1 in the temple, which might beat you in majorities in the temple. So it's a pretty solid like 2-player variant, I think. I thought it might be a little too.
When you say that the game sometimes might put you in a situation where, okay, yeah, it's worth it to make a jump, to make a big jump. What is a big jump under those circumstances? Like an extra 2, an extra 5?
There's a in every like 8 or 9 or something spaces. So like, I guess you're not going to jump like a million spaces, but yeah, if you might jump and leave 3 things to the other guy.
I could see it in a 2-player with the blocking neutral guy, because again, if you and I are close in points and we're getting that third, I think it's the ocean panorama. That's the one that's worth the most.
Sure.
And I jump up to the ocean panorama, but the guy in the back moves the neutral guy.
No, the guy who's forward moves the neutral guy.
So technically, then when you move the neutral guy up, you can move him to the second spot there, and the other person is not going to get that final panorama spot.
Yeah, you use it to block the opponent, right? Yeah.
But that's pretty much the only time that it's really.
Well, I mean, I was using it a bunch to try to block like the farms. So my opponent, I always try to run my opponent out of money, and I always think that's going to be good, but never. I don't know. I was losing a bunch of games to Steve though, so maybe that's a good strategy.
So you're actually proving it's a terrible idea to make a big jump forward. Then, if you keep
no, I'm proving that
you can.
The farm is not as important as I was making it out to be. That doesn't have anything to do with whether you jump forward or not.
Yeah.
He's saying you can do it. He's just as bad at it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying irrespective of whether you jump forward to do it, I was trying to like block the farm. I was overvaluing the farm, taking it. I was blocking it with the neutral guy, trying to make sure my friend didn't have money, so he couldn't go to the villages and he couldn't. Yeah. Hoping he'd run out of money and not.
And like I said, I mean, you had this strategic plan that on paper should have worked. It proved not to. And would you have been better off just incrementally? Just okay, I'll do a step. You'll do a step. Oh, I'll do a double. And then you'll do 2 singles. I mean, would you have come out just about the same anyway?
I mean, I guess that's possible.
Yeah, that's my worry.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I'm going to bed.
My observation was the more you play that game, the less you.
And goodbye.
I'm sorry.
Oh
damn it! And he's leaving. I never got to ask him what's it like to make board games. Damn it.
Oh yeah, real quick.
Ask him every time.
What's it like to make board games? It's a lot of work.
I mean, do you have any stories or insights into this journey that you have set yourself on? Is it improving?
I'll give one piece of advice for anyone who wants to get into this industry: don't get divorced in the middle of it.
Fair enough. Words to live by.
I'll leave you at that. I have plenty of stories in the near future.
All right.
Next week.
Good night, all.
Anthony.
Good night, Andy.
Good night, Anthony. So anyway, yeah, I think my bottom line, I think the more you play Tokaido, for me anyway, my observation was the more you play Takedo, the less you feel like the thing to do is just go one step at a time.
Yeah. Oh, and that's an over exaggeration. Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm just leaving it to chance and saying, okay, I know I'm going to do every other one. That's not either. But to me, the sign of a time track game is those big exciting. Wow, okay, I've just taken myself offline for 4 turns, and it was worth it.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. I know I shouldn't do it, but I have to do it. And now I have to feel the pain as you take turn after turn after turn. But it pays off. I mean, that
game kind of shrinks that. That game kind of shrinks that down because you do all have to stop at the inns, and there aren't a whole lot of things between. So it's not going to be 4 turns. But if I give my opponent 2 turns, that's a big deal in that game. Compared to if the tracks were twice as long and I give you 4 turns, would that feel better? I don't know. To you, maybe.
I would just have to feel like it's worth it. Gil Hova, on a couple months ago or last month, he had High Rise, and that's a time track game, and I really liked how he does it. Because all the spaces on the time track are combined. There's 3 spaces that represent a city block, and when you move in there, and you'll take this first, second, or third space. It's a linear track. It's a time track. Once I move forward, I have to wait a while till everybody catches up and passes me. Okay. But all the spaces are combined to represent city blocks. And when you move into one, and you do whatever it is, you make some money, you buy building materials, what have you. The next time you go, you are not allowed to choose another space inside that block.
Oh, so you have to go to another block?
Yeah, you have to move, and which means you might have to be forced to jump 3 ahead if you came in on the first of this block, and then you had to jump at the very least to the next block. And then by the same token, if you say, okay, I'm literally jumping halfway around this board because what has come up is so valuable. But what that means is I have not given everybody else 20 turns. I've given them 3 turns because they can only move, once.
They have to move at least 3 spaces or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought that was so clever.
That sounds neat.
Yeah. It's have your cake and eat it too, because then there is that drama without any of the downside of, I literally have to wait 20 turns now. It worked really nicely. It was a shame that he had to cancel the Kickstarter. Yeah,
we can circle back and talk about the interesting cancel Kickstarter type stuff later. But yeah, I guess he'll be back. He said he's been rejiggering the format of the game, and he'll be back on there. I'm sure it'll be fine. He's he's built a pretty solid following actually.
Yeah.
What was the other game you were? Oh yeah, Takenoko. So in Takenoko, if you draw a card that I guess it only depends on which kind of card. If you draw a card that the condition already exists, you can't keep it. You don't get to keep it.
Yeah.
So
it's been so long,
which keeps it a little bit from being look, I drew one that already exists.
Doesn't that feel a little janky to you though? I mean, that sounds like a.
Well, I actually forgot. I forgot that was the rule, and the computer just does it for you, and I didn't even notice it was doing that. I'm like, why can't I was like drawing cards? I'm like, why can't I get one that's already done? This is stupid. And I'm like, oh yeah, it looks like that's not allowed. So yeah, that doesn't bother me. So as long as you know that's the case, that's and it makes sense, right? Like it keeps it from being like, oh look, I drew the farmer card. It happens to match the situation.
I know, but I'm saying that it feels like a fairly ham-handed solution to a fundamental core issue with the game. That I mean, it is so easy for that to happen. But even still, if it's okay, something drops in line where all I have to do is one thing now, and you can't get anything to save your life that isn't a hell of a lot of work. Again,
I mean, there's a little bit of.
Oh, that's right. Oh, it's because it's a set collection, right? It's every card you draw is just
there's 3
the correct combinations of bamboo. Isn't that what it is?
There's 3 types of cards, right? One is wants you to have a specific combination of bamboo on the board, or one wants you to have specific
combinations of
tiles, and one wants you to have eaten certain combinations of bamboo on the board with Panda. And they're interesting too because the Panda cards, if you're going for farmer cards, if you have farmer cards in your hand, maybe I want to go for Panda cards and go eat all the bamboo to screw up your farmer situation and stuff like that. Or if you've got if you got a bunch of the terrain cards or whatever, I know that you're going to be wanting to irrigate stuff. So maybe I want to draw some farmer cards because that means stuff's going to be growing or whatever. It's not exactly a rock, paper, scissors situation, but they react or interact interestingly a little bit. You can make decisions based on what cards your opponent has because they, what they're going to be likely wanting to do. I don't love, it's not it's not the deepest game ever. And I don't 100% love that you get a random action. You get 2 actions on your turn and then a random action. And if you don't, you could, you roll a die.
That's right. Yeah. You roll the die, right?
which
an action die at the beginning. Okay,
I mean, if you look at it like a little bonus, it's like great, and great, I got the thing I wanted, or oh, I got something that's somewhat useful, or oh, I really would have rather had this other thing. But they're not huge. It's like the ability to do the same action twice in the turn instead of not. Normally you can't, and that's interesting because like it's not an extra action, but sometimes you really want to do the same thing twice. Or it's like get a irrigation piece. So it's like, well, that's one of the actions, so it's like an extra action, but it's not a super useful one. So it's not. It's like if you get a good roll on that instead of a bad roll, it's a little better than not. So, but yeah, sure. There's a little bit of that, like, oh, you got useful rolls more often than I did, or you drew cards that were closer to done than I did. There's a little bit of that, but there's a little of that, and like, there's lots of games that have, you draw a card and maybe it's better for you than the card that I got.
Yeah, but I think that's almost without exception an example of bad design. You're putting event cards in Euros where at the beginning of every round, draw an event, and some players will get fucked and some players will be happy.
Well, right, but none of these cards are
I'm so glad you put this system in.
You might as well say that with dice games, because it's roll a dice and see what happens.
Well, yeah, that's why
any game with the dice is fucked.
That's why roll to resolve sucks.
Right.
I made all my decisions, and now I'll see if the dice let me do what I want, as opposed to what dice have come up. Now I'll decide what to do with them.
So yeah, I agree there. Speaking of output randomness, there's somebody named 3-Minute Board Games in the chat. Is that Keith Regun?
I don't know his real name, but he's the guy who does very fast, well-edited videos. And he's on the rise.
No,
he's an up-and-comer.
If he's whoever that is in the chat, let me know who you are, because I actually don't think it's that guy that I thought it was. There was a guy named Keith Regun that did like this 3-minute game design or something like that, videos that were cool. That's what I was thinking of. But anyway, that's probably somebody else. Never mind that. So anyway, so what else? What other game can we argue about?
Why were you even choosing Tokaido and Takenoko when there's?
Well, we were playing a bunch of other games, and we're like, let's try another game. And I'm looking for ones I'd seen before, whatever. And I hadn't played them in a while. And I said, let's play this for a while. So we played, a whole bunch of games of Tokaido in a row, and then we went on to something else. We played some Tash Kalar, which for an abstract game I kind of like, even though I don't generally like abstract games.
Oh, that's the thing. It's not an abstract game.
Tash Kalar?
No, it's totally not an abstract game. It's
very abstract.
It feels. Well, no, I mean, you know what the subject matter is, right? I mean, that you are actually creating these runic structures that will summon creatures. The only problem is
the shape of the pattern you need kind of resembles like the cannon.
It is. It is symbolic of what you're trying to summon, either because it's roughly the same shape or it in some way mimics the motion that the thing would have in real life. And playing it in person on a table, the only problem with that game is I want to see some kind of 3D hologram grow up from the board that shows the thing rising that smashes. And it's like, they could do that in the video game, but I'm sure they don't, which is too bad.
Yeah, so speaking of games where you want to draw the right cards, and if you got a better draw than I did, then you get a benefit. That game's way worse than Takenoko in that respect. It is pretty cool though, and as abstract games go, I like it. It's got something going on that I like, which Nexus Ops also has, which is you don't score by having like more pieces on the board or taking over, like in Go or chess or whatever, you take over people's pieces and that's like really good. In this case, I guess it's kind of good, but the goal isn't to do that. The goal is to do those tasks or whatever, the scoring positions. And I kind of like that about it. I like that in Nexus Ops too, where it's like you can play Nexus Ops and win lots of fights and whatever, but like you really kind of want to do the missions. I guess Twilight Imperium is like that too, right? You can do Space Empire stuff in Twilight Imperium, but if you want to win, you also should do the objectives. Right.
I'm still on Tokaido and Takenoko. It's interesting in both cases. Like a central precept of your argument as to why we didn't particularly dig it was, you didn't say this, but I kind of inferred was that Jen and I weren't ready to try to block each other and destroy each other and scupper each other and trip each other up, and that's why we were perhaps not picking up on the subtleties and the the positive qualities of the game. And that could very well be the case because
that's my guess as to why you wouldn't have liked 2-player Tokaido, because it is pretty blocky and pretty direct with that I mean, it's 2 players. There's no one else. What else you need to block? You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the whole purpose of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this panda over here. It's well out the way because I know that you're going for the bamboo, which is green, because you've already got 2 on your stomach of your panda.
Yeah. So we were actually that was actually talking about Tokaido. We keep throwing back and forth.
It is an unfortunate similarity. I feel like we should change the subject though to give Lance something to come back.
Oh, Lance loves Antoine Bowser games, right, Lance?
Like
I realize you're back, Lance.
As we discussed earlier, it is the true perfect 3-player game.
Yeah, I mean,
Seven
Wonders. But I mean, I haven't really enjoy much of anything else by him.
Really?
Well, I mean, I'll play. I'll play it, but it's nothing stands out for me.
I don't know.
You get into
Rampage
or Terror Maple City.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good. It was a very good game for playing ding around with my kids. But I mean, as far as I don't know, it's not a good. I don't know. It's not a very. I don't know. It's not. There's no strategy to it, so it's kind of I just want to and for as light as it is, it's God. It just takes. There's so much setup time with it and everything else. It's just kind of a pain. So
actually, I get what you're saying with the it is pretty just whatever blows up in front of your face, that's what you get. Until I don't remember if it was an official variant or if it's just something we decided to do for ourselves as a 2-player game with each player basically controlling a team of monsters. It got a lot more interesting, setting up 1-2s and, running into each other and whatnot. That was actually pretty fun. We enjoyed it that way as a 2-player game. Trying to make up for each other's shortcomings and be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, otherwise it's just it's a party game. That's the very definition of it. Make things blow up.
So I'm looking on Board Game Geek at the list of games by Antoine Bauza, and the first 2 pages of it are all 7 Wonders. So I liked 7 Wonders, but I liked it more the fewer people there were, because I like when I'm playing a drafting game like that, I really like to see the packs more than once. Otherwise, the drafting part is just deal me some cards, whatever. I never played 7 Wonders Duel. I kind of wanted to, and I never got around to it, but I've heard good things.
Of course, it's in the top 10 of all time according to BGG, I think, isn't it? I think it's in the site's top 10.
I don't know. Most of the stuff I didn't realize that Antoine Bauza had worked on Conan.
Yeah, you read scenarios.
Oh, okay.
Ghost Stories. I did not like Ghost Stories. I remember thinking I was at BGG Con one year after Ghost Stories came out, and everyone was raving about it and wanting to play more of it and saying how great it was and how hard it was. And I was like, is the chances you're just not going to win, the greater the chance you're not going to win, does that make a game better? If you just chances you're not going to win, that makes it better? I'm not really sure. So I didn't like Ghost Stories because I just felt like it was hard, i.e. the chances that you automatically lose without knowing it is higher. And I don't think that counts as it being a hard co-op. That's not the right way to make something hard. Also, it was completely solitaire. At the time, all those co-op games were coming out, and I was looking at all the ones to see what they did to, a lot of them were doing a thing to make it not multiplayer. What do you call it? What's my term? I have a term for that. Solitaire by committee.
I've not heard this term.
What's that?
Just define your term, sir.
Oh, so solitaire by committee. So, without getting too deeply into the quarterbacking or alpha player problem discussions, my term for some of these co-op games is solitaire by committee. Games like Pandemic or Ghost Stories, where it's one person could play the whole thing, but the whole point is to have a committee meeting with your friends to decide on the course of action.
Okay.
That is what I call solitaire by committee, and it's a completely valid format for a cooperative game.
Yeah, you're not saying a descriptive way. It's just a descriptive way.
Yeah. No, it's pejorative.
Alpha gamer.
Yeah, it's not pejorative at all. If there are other cooperative games that are not intended to be solitaire by committee, and they have things like a trader or a lot of hidden info or time pressure where you can't play everyone else's game for them. And what I find is people who complain of an alpha player problem, what they're really saying is they're conflating the 2 different types of cooperative games and saying that game is solitaire by committee style, and I wanted a not solitaire by committee style game, so I'm upset and I'm mad at the players. because it's not the kind of game I wanted. And so that's anyway. So Solitaire by Committee, and I used to joke around and say Ghost Stories isn't even Solitaire by Committee. It's just Solitaire because it's all you don't even have to like talk to your friends. You can see what in Pandemic you have to at least talk to your friends to see what cards they have. But it's, I guess the idea is that it's really hard, and if you two heads are better than one. And if you work together, you can figure out how to win. But I don't know. I didn't like Ghost Stories. So what else? Hanabi is like on the other hand, is my favorite cooperative game, but it's super group dependent.
Yes, you've mentioned that before. I remember.
Yeah.
And I got the impression I would not necessarily want to play Hanabi with you.
Well,
you would probably take it a bit more serious than I would.
Certainly not just one set, out of the blue. That game's only fun if you play it a bunch of times with the same group.
Yeah. Did I tell you I was in a Hanabi tournament a few years ago here in France?
Really?
Yeah.
How did they do that?
What's the structure? How do teams work?
I played in a Hanabi tournament once too, and I can tell you about that. But how did yours go?
Well, it started off with all the game groups in France, all around France, applied for it, and then all the game groups, I don't know what you call it in America, but we have different game communities, and in there, some of the groups are like 20 people, some of the groups are 50 people, and they hosted the tournament kind of testing playoffs. And so, like, everyone would play one night. Everyone would play Hanabi in groups, and they would score. And the team that had the most would go through to the final, which was hosted by Cocktail Games in Paris. And so, we played. And luckily, there was only like 3 teams, 3 groups of people. So that was quite easy to win. And we got through to the final, and there were 10 teams, and we spent the whole day playing Hanabi. It was like we played about 6 games. So
how did
and it was all done on your scores because
was it like honor system, or did they do something to like what if people like cheated or whatever? Or
that was the thing. That was the thing because we know Matthew, who's the owner of Cocktail Games, and we spoke to him during the course of the game because we were having a laugh. We were making errors and we were laughing our tits off. Well, there were other groups that were really serious. Their heads were down, and he said about 7 out of the 10 teams were cheating. They were using a form of communication. But for the, just to say that we had a nice day together, they didn't say anything about it. They didn't cause a ruckus. They just let them cheat. And that's why we finished like 10th out of 10 because it was just stupid fun. And it was publicity for the game. And, but we all walked away with a load of little games as well. So it was a real hard thing for them to adjudicate. That's a big word for me in the morning. Bloody
That's good. So there was a convention that happens 3 times a year in California, Southern California, and called the Strategicon conventions. And I used to go to them all the time. And they have a sort of emphasis on tournaments. They've got they got open gaming and they've got scheduled like demos and whatever. You can sign up to learn a game or whatever. But they also have a bunch of tournaments, and they have a pretty big sort of prize support type thing. So I was at this convention recently, and they had a Hanabi tournament, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? Mm-hmm. So I played in it, and it was really cool. They gave you, I want to say 15 minutes, maybe there's more. And there was somebody would sit there and watch your group play, and basically you could start over anytime you wanted to, but you don't get to reset the clock. So the clock starts ticking. You play. At the end of your game, you get your score, whatever your score is. So if you think you made a mistake and you're screwed, and you don't want you could just scrap the game and start over. But now you've got less time. And if you made a play error, like a phony clue, or not like a illegal clue or something, then the judge would see that. Whatever, they would dock your score basically. You would lose points if you made a cheating clue. And I mean, it's not perfect, but it was pretty good. And I played it. I actually won the tournament. I played in 2 of the tournaments, on 2 different days or whatever. And I won the first one. My group. We got a decent score, not that great a score, but a decent score. but it was good enough to like win or whatever, and we got a little prize. And then the second time, we had 3 people, I think, and some random person wanted to play and they didn't have a seat, so they ended up putting him with us, or we said he could, or I forget how that happened, but so we ended up with a random person on our team. And if you've ever played Hanabi, like if you have people that have played before and then some random person joins, that completely messes everything up as far as anything that you've any sort of so the whole point of Hanabi is to kind of develop a set of conventions or whatever, a communication of a language between the players within the confines of the rules, and you throw someone in that hasn't got any of that, and you all have to start from scratch. You can't just like, you know, you can all be doing your thing, and this one guy will really throw a wrench in it if he's not on the same page. So yeah, so we did pretty terribly the second time with some random person. But yeah, the timer on that was pretty fun. Just the fact that we just couldn't take forever.
That puts a bit of pressure on.
I play that game. Like, if we go too fast, I probably do badly. And then if we go like there's a speed range that like is good for me. I can like remember what clues have been given and not mess up or whatever. But if it starts to take too long because people are thinking too long on their turn, trying to work out some logic or whatever, I'll like forget what people told me, or you know what people thought they, you know, what we more likely like, does that person know what that card is or whatever, and I won't remember because it was half an hour ago they gave that clue or whatever. And so there's this like it's possible to play too slow at that game. To your detriment.
My wife does that. She's terrible. She would give you a clue, and then it go around the table, and it go back to her, and she'd give you the same clue, and it's like, well, and you want to scream. You really want to jump across the table and throttle her, because it's like, no, we know that. You've already told us that information. You just wasted a clue. I was just about to play that, but I had to give, on my turn, I had to give that player a clue because they had a card that they could play. And
yeah, and it's conversations like that after the game that helps the group solidify like what clues mean and how to, you know, whatever. And that's how that game is like played. That's how you get better as a group or whatever. And then you finally can get to the point where you can get perfect scores and whatever. But then you play with another group and the whole thing, you got to start from scratch again.
You guys got it's like my daughter likes playing it now.
But
so when you're playing it with the wife, because the wife and I were also both in the tournament together, and we had our strategy of how to play and how we managed our hand of cards. You know, the cards that we didn't know nothing about slid slightly to the left of our hand, so it would then be thrown out. And so if there was a good card on the left side of a player's hand, you either had to give them a clue immediately or let it be discarded so it could, you know, empty your hand and get rid of it. And when my daughter played with us like the first couple of times, she didn't get that, and so we had to explain that to her. And after a while, she picked it up, and so she's starting to learn our system of how to play Hanabi. So yeah, it is a kind of, it's more than a telepathic game. It is you've got to have a strategy before you play to play and do good, which is strange for a game.
I didn't want to interrupt. I gotta go.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
See you later, Richard. Go and have a shave.
Yep. See you in a week.
See you in a week.
Bye-bye.
Has everyone gone to the Cannes Festival? Why is it so empty in here?
Yeah, I don't know. They heard Richard was gonna be on early, and they said, "Screw that." So speaking of something we brought up a moment ago with Gil's thing, it seems like there's been a number of I'll rephrase this as a question. Have you guys noticed an increase in the number of either successful or likely to be successful Kickstarters canceling and reconfiguring to come back later, such as High Rise did and such as Aftershock did recently?
I think it's pretty much the same as it always has been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or has any increase just been coincident with an increase in the number of games on Kickstarter?
Well, I think it's the same, you know, percentage or whatever. It used to be for a lot of the miniatures games that they, you know, they, and I who knows if I know what the reason is, but my guesstimation was they were like, okay, we're gonna like make this game and it's gonna have these 200 minis in it and whatever, and they put a funding goal of like 60,000, and they're 2 weeks into their 4-week campaign and they've got 82 grand, where I mean basically they needed 200,000 bucks for like all the minis that they were going to put into the game for them to actually be able to produce the game. But they put the 60,000 down, so like people would like they'd organically get that. It's the idea that, ooh, look, it funded in an hour, and then so they're going to get all that money, and then they aren't going to get that money, so they're like, oh, we're going to need to shut this down and restructure or whatever. So I think that's, and I don't know for certain one way or the other if that's the case, but
well, that's what a lot of people used to complain about, is people putting fake goals. So I put that in quotes because nothing's a fake goal. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it might be the case that they were hoping to get more than they said they needed, and then they weren't getting their soft reserve, we'll call it. So yeah, maybe that's why. In Gil's case and in Aftershock's case, I don't know that that's what happened. Maybe, but I think more likely, at least in those two cases, or at least in Gil's case. So Gil was saying he actually he looked at the game like a premium product, like he was going to make a fancy game with like fancy plastic pieces that like snap together or whatever, and kind of like Chimera Station was or whatever, and he figured that was going to be a premium product, and people who were going to buy it were going to pay the higher price or whatever. And what he found was, while I think he had funded, or he was going to fund, or he was on his way to funding, but a lot of the comments he was getting was that people didn't want a premium product. They would prefer a cheaper, less fancy version. And so he decided to cancel that and rework it. I don't know to what extent, like if he had, I can't remember, I think he hadn't funded yet, but when he pulled it, but had he funded already, would he have kept to his guns and be like, whatever, I'll make the premium one? Or would he have still done the same thing? I don't know. And I was listening to the podcast. I was trying to figure out why Aftershock came down, because that one had funded, I thought, right? The Alan Moon game? Or do I have those backwards?
One of those funded was not. Sourced a lot of folks on the price point, according to Chad.
Yeah, it was a similar situation. At least that's what Steven said on Bonacor said on podcast, was that same kind of thing, whereas like he found that people were not wanting to pay as high a price, and so they were going to reconfigure it and get a cheaper version of it or whatever. This isn't the first time people have said that kind of thing either. Like the same thing happened to other games that I want to say Greater Than Games or something. Did they do one that was like that, or I don't remember. Some games, some projects have come down to like come back with a cheaper. Oh, you know what it was? It was Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. It wasn't Greater Than Games. That one, they originally went up for like this giant box of lots of stuff, and they had included expansions or whatever, and it wasn't going out the way they wanted to or whatever. So they reconfigured it, and they offered like a 4-player game with like, if you wanted 6 players or whatever, you could buy it separately or whatever, and to make a lower price point. But
yeah,
it's kind of neat. Like Kickstarter allows you to do that kind of thing, and if they had just gone to print, all those companies, if they had just gone to print with that game and found out people didn't want to pay the higher price for it, they'd been screwed.
Not really. If they printed the game went out, and people started playing it, and it started building buzz, you start a second Kickstarter with the premium edition and a standard edition. It's buzz, it's word of mouth. Give it to Tom Bassel, and voila.
If they'd have printed the premium product thinking it'd be okay, and they get 3,000 copies, 10,000 copies, whatever, and it doesn't sell well because no one wants to pay the price, then they're screwed. Anyway, I gotta be right back. I gotta go move my baby over. So I will be back momentarily. So
okay,
all right.
And talk amongst yourselves.
Play me some music there, Barry.
No. I know that was the Kickstarter case with Badass Force. They put their price point way too low, just so they could generate buzz, just so they could generate the algorithms on Kickstarter so it would come up to the top of the page. So they put a low funding goal. He got funded, and then it just stopped. And they were a bit peed off because the American audience weren't pledging. It was like 80% French, Belgium, and German that were pledging, and it was like 8% English and 7% American. And the game was, you know, if a game's going to do well on Kickstarter, it's going to be American. It's going to be the American backers that make it successful. So they had to pull the plug there. Oh dear, I bored you.
Oh, I'm just tired.
Oh, good to see you better anyway.
Yeah, I'm feeling better, which is good. You know, yeah, that was a weird game, because it had all the marks of like stuff that I enjoyed. You know, like the bluffing and the like, you know, it's like, oh, which one, you know, kind of like the coup thing going on, you know, stuff like that. Plus, you know, I mean, it's, I guess you either like the satire or you don't, and as far as that goes. Which, yeah, are they gonna like revamp and come back later, or what are they gonna do?
Well, at the moment, they want to, but the thing is that all of a sudden they've got no money. They've burnt through all their money on the artwork and paying me and paying the other guys. You know, the guy that was doing all the everything. So they're at complete loss over the Christmas period. They've got no money. That, you know, they'd invested all their money in this project, and they were hoping it was going to be a success and make it enough money for them to, you know, to pay themselves back for all the money that they had invested in. That didn't work. So it's still up in the air at the moment whether they will bring it back, whether Gillen will have to go to another publisher and have his game published by then.
Yeah. Maybe it's something where, I mean, they need to retheme it or something, you know, and just because the core is there. You could definitely make it with almost any theme, you know. I mean, you could go, you know, space or whatever. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I really then you're talking about all new art and stuff like that, which will be, you know, an expenditure as well. But, you know, maybe it was just a theme that didn't grab people or something. You know, maybe it should have been a, you know, some sort of Cthulhu demon theme. That seems to always go over well.
Yeah.
No, what was I going to say? There was something. I was thinking about this. I mentioned this. So the whole like, oh, we're gonna make another dudes on the map models and you know, giant like I mean, the sheer number of games that are like, oh look, here's 75 minis, and it's like some sort of weird, you know, one versus many dungeon crawl-esque type game and stuff like that. I mean, like the sheer amount of those games that keep getting produced. Who plays all those? I mean, it's just like, I mean, and admittedly, I end up doing videos for a fair number of them, and like they present the game that's fun, you know. I mean, I enjoy the whole aspect of the strategic aspect of those games, the tactical aspect of those games. But you only have so much time in a day. And also, it's like, it's one of those things where I always am astounded by the fact that, like, usually if you are talking about a, you know, like a person that plays war games, plays tactical games of those types, they usually kind of just stick with, you know, the ones that they know, right? I mean, it's just like they get one or two, and then they get all the stuff for those, and that's the ones they play. Just because because usually those have a fairly dense rule set, you know. So, you know, learning that rule set is a process, and then being able to like, you know, like, oh, X, Y, and Z happened. Okay, I know the rule that covers this particular situation. You're using an explosive weapon and this type of thing, you know, just stuff like that. And so being able to know that and be able to play those things really quickly. But it just seems like there's always more and more of those games. And I always just, and it's like, just here's a giant bucket full of plastic that you're going to play with. And it's like, and those things, yeah, and they don't all make, you know, cajillions of dollars, but I mean, you know, when they fund, they seem to do reasonably well for themselves, you know, like, you know, a few $100,000 up to like $1 million.
Yeah.
But I always like, who plays all these? You know, I mean, because they're such an involved game.
Yeah,
and
they affect a minority of gamers. There's a small percentage, probably about 20% of all gamers. That is their bread and butter. They love that type of game, and they love playing those games, and they love backing those games. You know, I've got one or two friends that are like that. They love all those games. I was at my friend's house yesterday. We played Claustrophobia twice in a 6-hour period.
But Claustrophobia's got a really good rule set. I mean, you when you play Claustrophobia, it's like it's just, you know what you're doing. You know, it's anyway. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah. At the same time, he had Hate delivered, and it was another big fuck off box.
Oh God, I need to make so much space on my shelf for Hate. I saw because I think if I remember correctly, I did a pretty good all in on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like interested in getting it, but I'm also like, when am I going to play this?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm like. You know,
I've got friends that do nothing but play games. They sit at home, they go to work, they come home, they play games, and they play the big ones.
Today I needed, for whatever reason, I was out and about, and there's one game store in town that has, if it's miniatures related, they usually have it, and it's called Little Big Wars is what it's called. And so I went in there, and and admittedly, I'm not trying to judge any of these people, right? But it was like noon on a Wednesday, and I went into this store, and I went to go see if they had what I wanted. And they did. You know, it was just some miniature stuff. You know, just like, and there was like a half a dozen grown men. I'm gonna guess the youngest was in his mid-20s, oldest was in his early 40s, and they're all just sitting at a table. Some of them were like reading through books. There was one guy putting together models, and the other ones were just sitting there eating a frozen pizza and just talking to each other. And I was like, and admittedly, I was like, okay, well, it's over lunch period, maybe lunchtime, maybe they were on their lunch, you know, break, and they just decided to go to Little Big Wars and have a frozen pizza or something like that. But you know, then I walked up to the counter. I ended up talking to the guy behind the counter that I knew, and you know, before I know it, because I'm just talking to somebody, like good half hour, 45 minutes goes by as we're just talking about games and whatever and guessing. I made my purchase, and as I'm leaving, those guys were still sitting there, and they were just breaking out like their Warhammer armies and getting ready to play. And I was like, you know, once again, I don't know their background. Maybe they all said, let's all take vacation on February 20th, and we're going to go to Little Big Wars, and we're going to play, you know, Warhammer 40K. Maybe that was their plan. But I'm also like, that's probably not their plan. I was like, what are you doing? I mean, none of you are married. None of you have kids. You know, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just like you're in the middle of a Wednesday, you can just, you know, go and, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like a build up to the game. I mean, I've noticed that, as I said, I went to my friend yesterday, we spent a lot more time talking than playing, and it was just that, you know, that bonding, that friendship, that, you know, having a laugh and putting another person's favorite game down by saying that it's shit because the plastic minis are bendy or whatever. You know, it's just
Have you seen that the Mourners Court of the Dead like Kickstarter? It like made a bunch of money. It was like Project Raygun, who are like just starting to get into the miniatures business and the board game business and everything like that.
No.
And so like 3 months ago or something, they showed the minis, and like, so of course, like the mock-up pictures of the miniatures that were shown, looked amazing. Like everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, the minis in this game are going to look amazing." They showed like the actual production minis, like whatever it was, 2 or 3 months ago, and like they looked nothing like. I mean, it was like they made them look like they were all crisp and looking. They looked like, and this is not necessarily a bad miniature, but they looked like Talisman minis, like like the softer, rounded edges, no real high detail. And everybody was just like, "Oh my God, these don't look like anything like you said we were going to get. What's going on?" And so they said, "Oh well, it's like we realized that this is something we're gonna have to go back and revisit this and see what we can do to improve this." And everybody's like, "Fine, take all the time you need. Just hey, we gave you a bunch of money, make it good." And so they came back with an update like 2 or 3 days ago, and they're like, "Okay, here's the new minis," and they look exactly the same. And everybody's like, and everybody's losing their mind, saying these look like complete and total crap. Come on, what's the joke? And they're just not responding to it this time. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like before they were all like, "Oh, we understand and we want to make this right," and now they're just like, "Yeah, you're gonna like what we give you." Just like I am so, I don't know. I am fully moving into grumpy old man world, and I am fully also realizing I'm just just fuck it. I just fine. You just finally shake your head and you just say, whatever. You tried your best. You're just gonna whatever you were planning on producing for me. It's just not gonna happen. And it's just send me my fucking game. I think we're done.
I haven't got many more days left on this planet.
Just send me my fucking game and let's move on. Yeah, they got 447,000 in Kickstarter. Who knows how much more they got in the pledge manager after the fact. But yeah, all the recent quotes are, I prefer they work. Everybody's like, just work on the minis. Make them look like you told us. Just don't send it. Like the minis in the update look like melted plastic or wax with no detail. The original pictures were very detailed. I would rather wait a few months and have that corrected.
Yeah,
it's like, and people are just, and I'm just like, dude, you're not going to get them. The money's been spent. They're not
false advertising. So it's like that's really bad. I'm sure that there is a clause somewhere in the law that you can do them for false advertising. They say that they were going to give you this, but they actually give you that.
That is I back this game only for the minis. If they look like what I see in the pictures, this game is going to be in the garbage. Even Hero Quest looks better. Get in the game.
That's saying something. If Hero Quest looks better, wow.
Yeah.
But,
just
who has the time? And that's why you're getting old and grumpy. I think I had a revelation a little while ago. You get old and grumpy because there is no time. You get to an age and you start counting the days until you're gone. And so it's like, do I really need to hear what this person's saying to me again? I've heard it said to me about 15 times. Do I really? That's like, fuck off. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear your shit. Tom Vassell video, skip.
Oh yeah, and admittedly, I'm looking at the miniatures, and they do look fucking awful. I mean, they look like shitty Talisman miniatures, and it's just kind of like, why did you do this? Why did you make? Why? I mean, but why did you promise what you didn't deliver? And it's just, and I'm sure they're just like, yeah, this is the best we're gonna get, so fuck it, print it, send it. We've already got their money. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, precisely. No, they don't know. Nobody knows what they look like. They're going to start another company because they're not going to have a good reputation, and they call it a different name, and they say that they got this game with minis, and that this is the images, and this is what you get.
Yeah, I mean, the game looks like crap now. I mean, it's just, yeah, this looks like shit. This game is going to end up in the garbage. Make it better. I mean,
that's another thing I can't understand. People's mentality at Kickstarter. They see a game come out. I'm going to reference the Evil Dead game, and the fact that there was like no video on the gameplay for like a week. And then when you do see the video gameplay, it's of paper tiles. And then you start watching the gameplay and it's a fucking roll and move shit. And yet people will back it. And then people will complain their asses off about, you know, it being late. And it's like, well, can you tell that it was like a bad game? And these are first time publishers. And so, yeah, that they haven't worked everything out. It's frustrating to see Kickstarters come up, people have their expectations blown away, and yet they get so angry. This is you know, it's a crowdfunding project. It's a beggar on a street, and you've just given them $2,000 or $200 or $20, and hoping that they'll be there next week to say thank you.
Yeah. I am like, it's one of those things too. And I also learned something else is that the Kickstarters that just can't seem to get their crap together and actually deliver what they promise resoundingly are role-playing games. It's just like it seems like the vast majority of the things that are late for me and that people are just like, oh, I had no idea art would cost this much, you know, they're all like just awful. Like they're all a role-playing game. You know, it's like, just give me my book. Just, you know, give me my shit. You know, I don't know.
Wouldn't you say a role-playing game is a lot more harder to design than a board game?
Well, I think it's a lot of writing. It's just a lot of writing, you know, and it's just like, you know, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's Nick wrote, Lance needs a vacation to recharge. I don't know what I need. I don't know what I need.
What's the weather then? Minus something or other?
It's actually like 15 degrees or 10 degrees, but it's just like we're just getting more and more snow dumped on us. And it's like, I just want to get, you know, in a month's time, it'll be like, you know, it'll be in the 40s, the 50s outside, you know, not the 50s, but it'll be in the 40s. It'll dip below freezing at night, but during the day, the sun will be out, the snow will start to melt, you know, it'll be better. You know, things will be like, I'll somewhat turn the corner.
Yeah.
When
the sun comes out, it changes your point of view and changes your spirit. It lightens you up. I mean, the sun's been here for a week and everybody's changed already. So more sun to come.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're in your hobbit hole too long. And you're getting old.
It's a few people here like, John, I backed mourners. Must have been a moment of weakness. The game itself looks interesting. It's kind of a cool little, like, each person's trying to, like, you know, claim souls of the dead and blah, blah, blah. Looks kind of cool. But man, oh man, does that, they are not coming through with what they promised. But you know what? Fine, whatever. Just give me my shit and let me, you know, I just, you know, I you know, that's the thing that pisses me off the most is just like, you know, I'm okay with waiting. Just, you know, and have, you know, running Kickstarters myself, I understand, like, you run into delays, like art, you know, like people you contracted for art. I mean, I'm not going to mention any names or games or anything like that they're working on, but there was a person that basically, we had an artist that we contracted, and I don't even know where we found them. Some like person, and we contracted them. You know, it's like, oh, and their contract was I get paid X up front as an advance, and then pretty standard. And then when I complete all the art, then you pay me X. And I was like, oh, okay, And so then we were like, where's this art? Where's this art? Where's this art? Where's this art? And then eventually the artist was like, and they provided about maybe 35% of the art. And then we're like, well, where's the rest of this? And then like there was like, first ghost responses on email, like no responses. Then, oh, I've had a few things going on as far as this and the other thing. I haven't been able to work on it. Okay, fine. And then like after another month of waiting, and we're like, where is the art for this game? And they're just like, oh, it's just like I'm just not feeling inspired by this project anymore. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'll give you all the files that I've been working on, which it's like they provided, like I said, about 35% of the art, and then like give us like another like maybe 10% of like the art that was about maybe between 30 and 60% done, and just said, I'll just cancel the contract. And it was just like they just like, and it was like, okay, I mean, it was just they basically, it was one of those things where I got my advance, I don't want to work on this anymore, I'm out.
Fuck me.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, okay. And so then then we hired another young lady who went after it, and she just knocked it out of the park. She took like the shambles that this person had given us and like did an amazing job. And and now like we're able to finally like get the game moving again. But I mean, it was just like, what, you suck, I just I just what why would you do that? I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
But I mean,
as an artist, sometimes it does fall upon you that the inspiration just disappears from you. I'm sat at the keyboard and I'm going, how the fuck can I create music which represents this tile here? And I'm just like looking at it and I'm pushing notes and I'm changing sounds, and it's like, no, there's no inspiration here today. I'll do something different. I'll go and wash the car. But to totally, it's probably a verbal contract between you and this artist, yeah? Was it a verb? Yeah. Yeah, that's that's the scariest ones to have.
Yeah.
But I've got an immense pressure on me to do the best I can with my verbal contract to produce the music that Monolith need. And I'm sticking to it because it's a reputation. It's it's something that you want to build on and be better at, and
have they started
do more.
Has Monolith started shipping Batman yet, or no?
They've got their copy. I think I can't remember the last update. I think there's so many bloody Kickstarter updates, and a lot of them said that there's stuff on the boat on the way over. So
yeah.
I think it is. In my mind, it is. I'm expecting it sometime in March.
I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it because I love the system. The system's super, and it and with the powers really fit the characters and the theme of the game, and so excited. It'll be, you were just talking about, these big games. Who plays them all? Well, I know for sure that as soon as Batman comes, my daughter is going to be knocking on my door every day. We play Batman. We play Batman. We play Batman. Because she's going to build up her team of Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Batgirl, and then try and take me out. That's what it's going to be.
Well, it's scenario driven, isn't it? The game.
Yeah, it's scenario driven, but you can do 2-player skirmishes, and you can draft your team within reason. So that I am very much looking forward to. I can't find it. There it is. Updates.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they got their production copies at the office, which normally is a good sign to say that, you know, it's coming. I must be thinking of museums on the boats.
So you gonna make it over on this side of the world for any conventions this year, you think?
I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing is planned. If I do get the generous offer from a publisher to hitch a ride with them, then I will do. I'm in talks at the moment with Berkey about doing the UK Game Expo with him and selling game toppers. He's picking out a dress at the moment, I think, that I'm going to wear.
Nice.
But yeah, hopefully I'll get the chance to go and work over on the States, do some demoing. But apart from that, I can't physically afford a plane trip and a hotel due to the fact that, you know, we had to restart our lives in France. We nearly got the house to where we want it. We've got loans to still pay off. I am now a, you know, self-employed musician with a little bit of work and a little bit of video reviews to do. My wife's just started a new job because she lost her other job. So money is very, very tight. Just requires all our parents. No, I shouldn't say that actually. Sorry. But yeah, just win the lottery, and yeah, I'll be there every year.
Well, that's the dream, right?
Yeah. You got to buy a ticket to win the lottery. That's the thing. Maybe I should start busking. But yeah, busking. You know, performing in the streets.
Oh.
Yes, a busker. English word.
Is that what it's called? They're called a busker?
Yeah.
Yeah, street performers. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who does busking or has done busking is Jay Cormier from one of the designers of Belfort and Chain of Thought.
It's Cormier.
Cormier, sorry, I'm not French. Sorry, Jay.
What does What does he play? Banjo?
Accordion.
He does he has this character it's like a clown, but it's like a cross between a clown and like Indiana Jones or an explorer type. He's also done he's done it for I don't know, birthday party type things too, I think. Not sure. But he's done it for I'm trying to remember the name of the character. It's I'm not gonna remember it.
Soup Can Sam.
Bertolt, I think. Bertolt, I think is the name of the
Bertolt.
I wonder if I Google that, if anything will come up.
Yeah. Would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, apparently it's some actual dude from Germany. His name.
How's Corbin?
Oh, he was fine. He just he's kind of sick actually. He's got a fever, so that's not great. So hopefully he'll be better in the morning or something, but I don't know. He's asleep now, so that's good.
Yeah. Kids and fevers, not very fun. What's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Is it your leg? Is it your nose?
Well, Seth, I think you came back just in time for me to call it a night.
All right.
But yeah, you too. No, it's late. I gotta sleep. I gotta work on the Dragon's Interest Kickstarter page tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess that was Forrest on tonight.
What?
Was Forrest on tonight?
No, which I'm annoyed by the fact that we didn't get that out. I mean, admittedly, I'm not saying that people farted around or anything like that, but I'm gonna have to pull in a favor on him and make sure he gets the video done. So
yeah,
I was hoping he'd be able to send it off to somebody else on Friday.
Those prototypes, to make them with any kind of so they look kind of nice, take a little while to make.
I'm not saying that it's an easy job. I'm just saying that it was well, it's just unfortunate that we're in this situation.
Yeah, maybe more than a day's notice, Andy could have done.
I'm not gonna, just here. Stay on for a second. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.